6:45 p.m. Midoriya Izuku wakes up in a morgue. The first thing that comes to mind is that, wow, he's never felt so cold in his entire life. The second thing is the realization that he is buck naked for all the world to see. 100% clothing free. Izuku sits up, shivering as his palm holds full contact with the metal bed. Where is he? The room is cold, spacious, and has an air of sterility to it. Hospital, then. But there is something else about the smell it offers. There is something other than the distinct, odd hospital smell, something chemical, something foreign, nothing that Izuku has ever encountered before. He blinks. He looks down and realizes, for the first minute since he woke up in this foreign environment, that he is in a body bag. Huh, he thinks, as he notices the red band circled around his wrist. Written on it in typed-out kanji, name of the deceased. Next to it, in a neat handwriting, Midoriya Izuku. And then the date. And he stops reading, mind reeling. Huh, he thinks, for a second time, and decides to stay still in place, processing. He's never been in a morgue before. There is a first time for everything, he guesses. At this line of thought, the door across the room opens and a woman comes in. She is in a dark green medical gown, along with a cap. She doesn't seem to notice his presence as she walks to a nearby table, looking through documents. He says, an arm raised politely as if he is in a classroom. Excuse me, ma'am. The woman stops whatever she is doing and turns, agape, to look at him. I think there's been some kind of mistake, Izuku says, unsure. The woman, who Izuku learns later on is 35-year-old Kubo Miyako, who is, apparently, Izuku's mortician, stares at him, and he stares back. This eye contact lasts for approximately the longest, most awkward 3 seconds Izuku has ever experienced in his life. And then, naturally, Kubo Miyako screams bloody murder. 7:38 p.m. Half an hour later, after Kubo Miyako has run out like a bat out of hell and came back with another mortician, Shiro Yoshiro-san, Izuku later learns his name, who then also ran out and came back with yet another mortician, Fukuda Fumio. Izuku is nibbling on a strawberry pocky in a hospital gown. He is very hungry, for some reason. Your mother is on her way, Fukuda-san tells him, as he gives him another glass of water. Izuku is also very thirsty. Honestly, I've been doing this job for 20 years, but he shakes his head and doesn't continue his sentence. Thank you, Izuku says after swallowing down the whole glass. No problem. Fukuda pauses, and he's still staring at Izuku like Izuku has grown a second head. Is this your quirk, son? I don't have a quirk, Izuku says automatically. Not something he usually tells to strangers, but he isn't really feeling like himself today. Or rather, he feels calm, oddly relaxed, almost like he is in a dream. Things don't exactly feel real right now. Fukuda looks at him, again with that same odd inspection. I think, the 50-year-old mortician says, taking the empty glass gently from Izuku's hand. You might want to consider that again. Midoriya Inko arrives not 2 minutes after, looking like she just got hit by a truck. Her eyes find Izuku's the second she gets through the door, and then Izuku is enveloped in the most bone-crushing hug in his life. 8:15 p.m. Another half an hour later, Izuku is in a jacket and jeans that are at least 3 times bigger than his size, kindly lent by Shiro-san, and nibbling on yet another packet of Pocky, vanilla, this time. He is in the back seat. His mother is next to Bakugo Mitsuki, who is driving and keeps stealing odd glances at him from the rear view. Next to Izuku is a big paper bag. It looks heavy. He wonders what's inside of it. Izuku. Izuku looks up, slowly, to see his mother's eyes, red and swollen, but adorned with a watery smile, at him. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Izuku considers this. I'm okay, he answers. And he is. He feels okay. Still kind of floaty, honestly, kind of dreamy. He doesn't feel exuberantly fantastic or anything, but he feels good. If empty. Good, in an empty kind of way. Weird, he says again in honesty. Okay, but weird. That's great, sweetheart. A pause, and something conflicts in his mother's face. Do you know what happened? Izuku stares. Something is tugging at him, behind the fog, behind the pleasant tranquility in his head. What do you mean? He asks softly. Another pause. Do you remember what happened? Blank. The tugging thing stops abruptly. He blinks. There is something at the back of his mind. A raised hand, waiting to knock. His mother smiles again, but this time it's explicitly strained. It's okay if you don't, honey. You don't have to think about it, okay? Just get some rest. It's been a huffed laugh, almost a sob. It's been a long day. When they arrived, Aunt Mitsuki hugs his mother for a long, long time. And then she comes at him and hugs him too, for an even longer time. When she lets go and he finally gets a good look at her face, Izuku feels the fog in his head dissipates, if a little. Izuku is a crybaby, he knows. He got it from his mom. Hence, he's seen his mother cry a lot. But seeing someone like Aunt Mitsuki, who's always been so confident and smiley and loud, cry, that surprises him. Not in a pleasant way. The tugging feeling comes back, this time more insistently. Something. Izuku-kun, Aunt Mitsuki says, hand cupping the side of Izuku's face. Take care, okay? Her face is contorted like cracked mirror. Okay, he says, immediately, and utters it with as much conviction as he can, because he doesn't want Aunt Mitsuki to look like that anymore. To be so heartbroken. Another half an hour, and Izuku is scourging a warm bowl of katsudon with gusto. He is so hungry, and the food is so delicious. This is my favorite food, Izuku says, for the millionth time in his 14 years of life. The way his mom smiles when she hears him, though, the brightness never falters every time. And this time, she is absolutely, positively beaming. And then she crumples and cries. Izuku stops chewing. He awkwardly puts his bowl down. The tugging sensation is back again. Insistent, distant, angry, wrapping deep down in his head. Something. What is it? I'm sorry, sweetheart. His mom sobs. Chopsticks askew on the dinner table. Behind them, the TV runs on, blaring a rerun of an old episode of an anime. It's just, I love you. I love you. So much. You know that, don't you? Something. I love you too, Mom, Izuku says, helpless. Food forgotten, he hugs his mother until the sobs dissolve into halted breathing. 11:50 p.m. His mother is asleep, snoring gently after falling in bed with him curled between her arms. She is completely exhausted, it seems. The crying must have taken a lot out of her. Izuku puts her arms off his back as gently as he possibly could and tiptoes out the bedroom, as silent as can be. He goes out to the hallway, thoughtful. Or not. He isn't actually thinking of anything. Anything at all. Which is odd, because Izuku is an anxious person. He is always thinking of something. Often several things at once. But the fog is still there. The void. A bereftness in him. The persistent null clouding his head. He walks to the living room. He looks at the clock. 11:54 p.m. He feels wide awake. His eyes wander the room and stop at the porch. There, beside the shoes, is the paper bag from the car. 8:25 a.m. Mom, I'm going to school. Izuku, wait, your lunch. 11:54 p.m. It looks heavy. Izuku walks to it. His mother must have meant to throw it away and forgotten about it. Something. He looks inside. 3:15 p.m. We're not done talking yet, Deku. 11:58 p.m. It is heavy, but he can manage. He carries the bag to his room. 3:15 p.m. If you want to be a hero that badly, there is a quick way to do it. 11:59 p.m. He took out the content of the bag. There are a lot. He recognizes his school backpack and his uniform, wrapped in plastic. Something stutters in his chest. His heart, a drum beating down his ears. But he is calm. He is so very calm. He takes a scissor from his desk, bright yellow with All Might cartoonish face imprinted on the handles, and gets to work. When all the plastic are set aside, he lays out the content on the floor meticulously side by side. His backpack, his uniform, his undershirt, and his shoes. Even his socks. They are all the ones he wore this morning. Izuku thinks, with that same sense of clinical detachment. The now growing void and beneath the cold containment of his ribcage. He touches the Hero Notebook, volume 13th. His familiar handwriting. The charred edges of it, courtesy of Kakin. Like his uniform and shoes, and backpack. The notebook is covered in blood. Izuku's blood. 3:16 p.m. Believe that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life and jump off the roof. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. 12 a.m. Izuku stares at the items laid out on the floor of his bedroom contemplatively, and then he looks at the All Might scissors, still gripped tight in his right hand. He thinks he understands. The tugging has stopped. His heart is steady. He understands. He understands. Too bad, though. He likes the scissors. He takes a deep breath. Calm. He is calm. He is empty. He takes another deep breath, and pain blossoms through his wrist. 6:45 a.m. Izuku? Izuku. Izuku wakes up and looks to the face of All Might in the summer edition poster plastered at the ceiling. He blinks. What time is it? And why is he so hungry? Izuku, are you in your room? Before Izuku manages to open his mouth reflexively to yell an affirmative, his bedroom door slams open. There you his mother's words cut short, and she gapes at him. He looks at his mother's horrified, shock-still face and looks at himself. He is in a pool of blood. His favorite scissors are gripped in his right hand, more red than yellow now. Next to him is his uniform, shoes, and backpack, laid on the floor. He blinks. Oh right, he'd killed himself. Twice. Kaken was right. Izuku thinks with some level of distant, hysterical amusement. He gets a quirk in his next life, after all. He looks at his mother, who looks like she is in the middle of a mental breakdown. Mom, Izuku says, I think I found my quirk. His mom looks to the blood, to the scissors, and then finally, at him. And of course, Midoriya Inko, single mother, the only person who has known Izuku every day since he was born, musters up the perfect, lovely response to her son finally finding his biggest and most painful wish coming true. That's great, honey, she says. Midoriya Izuku knows that he is pretty damn smart, actually. Or at least, he has a functioning brain. Sort of. So when he goes to the police station with his mother's hand gripped tight around his, as if someone is going to fly away and screw off with him any moment, to register his newfound quirk, he doesn't feel exactly great about it. If anything, he kind of wants to throw up. There are a lot of weird, freaky quirks. Izuku, of all people, should know. He also knows that people has gone through a lot of trials and errors to discover their quirks. A lot of people. And now that includes Izuku himself, apparently. Trial and error sure is an understatement, though. So answering the questions directed at him leave him and his mother and the officer himself baffled and uncomfortable. All three of them. In the 21st century, Japan had one of the highest suicide rate in the world. Now, 2 centuries later, the numbers fluctuate. Although no longer in the top 5 countries with a suicide crisis, Japan is still in the top 10. Honestly, Izuku doesn't want to talk about what he did. At all. He doesn't want to think about it, and it must show in his demeanor because none of the adults dare to bring it up after they went through the second time he used his quirk. When the subject is hurriedly steered to the aforementioned quirk, Izuku is glad, but not by much margin. Regeneration quirk is rare. But what Izuku has isn't your run-of-the-mill regeneration quirk. Izuku has spent 15 years of his life running and playing and scraping knees, and at least 11 years of his life as Kaken's punching bag. The wounds have healed and scarred at a normal rate. Yet yesterday, he jumped off the building and broke his neck and woke up in a morgue unscathed. Not 6 hours after that, he slit his wrist and bled out to death and woke up to eat the previous night's leftover katsudon. It's actually kind of comical, like one of those oldies Looney Tunes cartoons. When he says this, both his mother and the officer are staring at him like he just suggested the prime minister to learn tap dance and go to Hawaii. So, the officer, Sansa, he'd requested them to call him, clears his throat. Well, he pauses. This is definitely a type of regeneration quirk, just not something ever recorded in our database. Or any other database in the world. Izuku would know. See, the thing is, he'd died. Legally, he was dead for 2 hours and 45 minutes. He'd not only broken his neck, he'd jumped off a 5-stories building, splat headfirst to concrete, and bashed his skull in. His spine was halfway obliterated, though his limbs were surprisingly intact, apparently. It was a quick, violent death. He died on impact. Izuku read the autopsy papers when his mom wasn't looking. It doesn't have any photos, but he's always had a decent imagination. There was no CCTV in the morgue, so anyone could only guess how the regeneration worked. One thing for sure is that his quirk leaves traces. His blood, after shed, stays intact. His skin, though, is spotless, and the physical examination he went through showed that he is in tip-top shape. As if he hadn't tried, and succeeded, killing himself twice yesterday. It does not make any sense. So, Izuku says, and both of them look at him with that same stare, like he's going to say something crazy or have a stroke and die on the spot. So, I can give it a name, right? Since it's not in the database. Officer Sansa exchanges a look with Inko before nodding. Yes, you can. The paperwork is a bit complicated because this is a new quirk, but you needn't worry about it. It shouldn't take long. Another exchanged look, and we'll keep in touch, of course. That's good to hear, Inko says, her tone implying that nothing at the moment is good to hear in any way. So, Izuku-kun, what would you like to name it? Honestly, he has no idea. His face must show this because Sansa and Inko give each other another look once more. What is this quirk? And what does it mean that he can't die? The enormous implication of it baffles him to the point of hysterics. Is he immortal, like something out of a manga? And then the thought gets worse. He can't die. He literally can't die. He has to keep on waking up every morning. He has to keep trying. Again and again, ad infinitum. Like in. Oh. Save point. He blurts, surprising himself. Sansa blinks. Izuku feels his cheeks heat, and he tries again, you know? Like in video games. Save point. Both his mother and Sansa trade one last look, and then they smile. Izuku's face is positively burning. You know what? Sansa says as he types it into the system. That actually sounds pretty badass. Thanks. Izuku murmurs, and looks down to his feet. He smiles for a short moment. All right. As you know, it is a requirement for all kids to go through quirk counseling, and despite being a late bloomer, you are definitely not exempt for it. So that's something to look forward to. And Izuku looks up at the note of hesitance. Sansa sighs. He continues, carefully. And regarding the circumstances, Izuku-kun is obliged to attend mental health counseling. There it is. He knew it was coming, but it still makes him physically cringe. Despite everything that happened, it doesn't make him any less averse to the idea. He bites his lips, a nervous tick. He knows his hands must be shaking, but he tries his best to look at Sansa in the eye. I know what I did was stupid, he begins, and cringes once again at how unsteady his voice sounds. And I regret doing it. And he does. He does regret it. Right? A hand touched his shoulder, and he almost flinches. Izuku, it's his mom, and the wave of guilt swallowing the pit of his stomach is nauseating. I know it must be hard for you. And her voice wobbles, but doesn't lose the sense of determination in them. And I know you feel like you have to face it all alone. Izuku. Izuku looks up at the sound of his name, at his mother. She is smiling, a gentle hand at the side of Izuku's face. Izuku almost bursts to tears by that alone. But you are not alone, sweetheart. And you don't have to. She stops herself, before continuing with more conviction. You won't ever be alone again. You understand. The conviction is hard in her voice, and her eyes, despite the sheer tenderness of her. Izuku nods, and then he bursts to tears anyway. He doesn't go to school the next day. 2 days after his first attempt, that is. He feels like himself, now, meaning, anxious as hell. Not something he isn't used to. It's practically how his head is built, he supposes, but it sucks nevertheless. Whatever cloud he was riding on for the last 2 days has dissipated, leaving him full. His head is noisy, brimming with nervous thoughts and ideas. Ideas. Huh. He sits up so quick he thinks he pulls something. A glance at his phone, 9 in the morning. His mom is off at work, though she'll return sometime in the noon. She didn't tell him, but he knows she must have asked to clock out early. She has been anxious with keeping him in her line of sight. Never mind that. He thinks. Guilt comes washing in. He doesn't want to think about that. Anyways, he picks up an empty notebook. He usually bought packages of them. It's cheaper, and glances at the drawer where he keeps the blood-stained volume 13. Her mom had thrown away his backpack, uniform, and other bloodied materials courtesy to his stunt, but he discreetly kept his notebook. For what? He has no idea. Not really. Something morbid, maybe. He takes a marker and wrote on the teal cover of the brand new notebook, volume 14. He takes a deep breath. A brand new page. A brand new life. He takes a pen with a finer nib. On the first page, he writes in shaky handwriting, Midoriya Izuku. He huffs a laugh. Surreal. So freaking surreal. All the names he's written in his notebooks, his mom's, Kaken's, classmates, all the pro heroes. And now his own. He remembers thinking every day of his life that he'd do anything for a Quirk. Anything. Apparently, anything had included dying. He continues on the second line. Quirk. Save point. The nib makes a tiny dot as he pauses, thinking. He can't die? And then he thinks, impossible. Every Quirk has its limits, no matter how powerful. And more importantly, every Quirk has a drawback. He taps the other end of the pen thoughtlessly, thinking. There is a glaring lack of data. He doesn't have much to work on. What are the variables? What are they? He begins. First try, 2 days ago. Time of death. He grimaces. The coroner has determined somewhere ranging from 3 to 4:30 in the afternoon, but he knows. For PM. For death. He takes a shuddering breath and laughs again, this time with a note of hysterics. Calm down. Don't think about it. What's the time frame? 2 hours 45 minutes. He lists down the injuries. Don't think about it. Fractures. Fall from approximate 15 to 20 meters height. Next. Second try, yesterday's date. 12 o'clock a.m. Sharp object. Blood loss. 6 hours 45 minutes. Takes longer. That means he has a downtime. His downtime must have limits, too. Makes sense. One thing, though. Constant variable. Suicide. That's a problem. What if it only works if it's suicide? The thought is ridiculous, but considering the nature of Quirks in general and the unknown nature of this Quirk, he can't throw the possibility out of the window. And if the hypothesis is true, well, that's sort of hilarious, isn't it? Wow. Izuku announces to the empty room. I'm so useless I can't even kill myself. Another problem. There is no feasible way to test out his Quirk. What happens if someone other than himself kills him? What happens if it's murder? On that tangent, does an illness count as him killing himself? What about freak accidents, then? What if he trips on his underwear and breaks his neck? What if he chokes on a chicken katsu? What if he got hit by a semi-trailer truck? He stops himself from pulling out more over-the-top scenarios out of Final Destination XXI. Seriously, though, what would happen if he got hit by a semi? He shakes his head. He writes, need more data. Lack of data and no way to experiment. Result inconclusive. At least if he puts suicide out of the... No, don't think about it. Anyways, the odds of him getting hit by a semi or any other freak accidents are even lower than the chances of him contracting Ebola. Please, Japan traffic deaths hit record low just last year. He would laugh, but it's kind of well. He sighs. What the hell? Are you kidding me? He mutters, combing a hand through his hair. This is possibly the most useless Quirk he could get. How fitting. He might as well be Quirkless, right? He sighs, this time harsher than before, at himself. He should stop thinking about shit like this. Look at what you did to Mom. The thought is out before he could stop it, and he grits his teeth, pained by the weight of his guilt. In a split second, he considers throwing his notebook across the room and hope to stave off some of his emotions before going against it. Don't be childish, he chides himself, straightening the wrinkles his grip caused on the pages. Come on, man. How selfish can you be? Inadvertently, his eyes drag back to the drawer where he keeps the blood-stained notebook. Pretty damn selfish, huh? Enough. Screw this. He takes a jacket and goes out. Locking the front door and tying up his shoes, his mom bought him a new pair just last night. He thinks about texting his mom, but decides against it. She isn't going to be back for another couple hours, and he isn't planning to stay out long, anyways. He just needs some fresh air. Maybe buy his mom's favorite ice cream at the convenience store. A little outing surely won't hurt him. The moment he steps his foot outside, it rains. Now, Izuku isn't foul-mouthed. but he merits himself this moment. Shit, he says to the world. Jogging lightly, making sure he doesn't slip on the wet pavement, he goes to a nearby convenience store, a 7-Eleven just around the block. It's a work day, so the street is fairly empty. That's when he spots two kids playing a soccer ball just at the other side of the street. They're wearing school uniforms. Izuku frowns. These kids can't be older than 9. Hey, he yells, rising his voice against the pitter-patter of the rain. Don't you kids have school or something? Both of them stop for a moment, if only to sneer at him. One of them, Izuku, notices the boy is missing a front tooth, yells back, "Fuck you," complete with a middle finger too. Great, he is being bullied by a 9-year-old. Izuku braves his heart. It's not safe to play by the street, he tries again. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, bitch, shut the fuck up. Well, he tried, cheeks reddening. Due to the cold, he swears, he goes inside. The cashier is giving him dirty looks, so he guiltily scrapes the bottom of his shoes on the mat to make sure he doesn't leave mud tracks, though his clothes and hair are dripping a bit of water. He sighs. Just his luck. These are new shoes, too. Picking up the banana ice cream he knows his mother eats when she's stressed out, he looks through the hygiene sections. Didn't his mom mention something about running out of shampoo or something? Spending the next few minutes just taking looks around, he pays for his stuff, ducking his head to hide from the cashier's glare, and heads out with the grocery bag. The kids are still at it. He sighs, but decides to avoid being heckled by elementary school kids for the 3rd time that day. He's had enough losses already. That's when he notices one of the boys, the one missing the front tooth, who's been bouncing the soccer ball, loses control, and the ball rolls to the middle of the street. The boy groans in annoyance and runs to retrieve it while his friend laughs at him. Izuku frowns and opens his mouth to give another warning. And of course, that's when he sees a semi-trailer truck going down the street in high velocity. The boy seems to notice it at the same time too, because he starts to run back to his friend, only to slip on the wet pavement. The first thing that comes to Izuku's mind is, these are new shoes, damn it. His body, though, moves before his mind has the chance to form any other thought. With an urgency he never felt before in his life, Izuku runs. Everything happens so fast. The rain is cold, wet and uncomfortable against his skin, and the grocery bag forgotten at some point. And then the sensation of pain burning every tip of his body. The pain's so great he is in awe of it. He is on the ground. He looks at the sky. He never noticed how beautiful rainfall looks from below, like shards of crystals gliding down to kiss the ground. Absolutely beautiful. Fuck, Izuku says to the world. The word barely passes coherently from his lips. He's never been very foul-mouthed anyway. And then he dies. Midoriya Izuku wakes up in a morgue for the 2nd time this week. He sits up. He is in a body bag. He's so goddamn cold and so goddamn hungry. He thinks this has happened before. He feels like he's having some sort of a déjà vu. Why the hell is he naked? And then the door opens, and he looks into the eyes of his mortician. They stare at each other. Kubo-san, Izuku says. I think there's been some kind of mistake. Kubo Miyako, 35-year-old and tired, says, me too. They give him clothes and a packet of Pocky, chocolate, this time. Your mother is on her way, Fukuda-san says, handing him a glass water. Thank you. So, Fukuda-san says, staring at him with a twinkle of something in his eyes. Amusement, maybe, or pity. Either way. It's my quirk, Izuku confirms, despite Fukuda not continuing his sentence. Apparently. Oh. The door slams open, and his mother comes in. Izuku, that's a shrill scream. Izuku doesn't have the chance to reply before he is enveloped in another bone-crushing hug. When she lets go, a full minute later, Izuku looks at his mother's face. Something in his face must show something because his mother's crazed, worried expression shifts into understanding. Izuku has only had one dream in his entire life. One. Quirk or no quirk, he has only ever wanted to be one thing. I pushed him out of the way, Mom. Izuku says, his voice steady, calm, clear. I pushed him out of the way. I saved him. They said he'd spilled all his guts out to the street, this time. A price he'd paid for one life. A small price. Izuku would say it's a goddamn bargain, really. Mom. Izuku has never been sure of anything in his life. anything other than this. I'm going to be a hero. A beat of silence. Midoriya Inko sighs, and then smiles, between the tears. I know, she says. She has always known. The day after he got hit by a truck, Izuku goes to school. Izuku, are you sure? His mom says. Even when he's already tying up his shoes, his mom bought him a new one again. Uh-huh, he doesn't see why not. Are you sure you feel all right? Yep. I'm sure the school would understand. Izuku zips up to kiss his mom on the cheek. I feel good, Mom, he says patiently. He isn't lying. And I got finals coming up, you know? I can't skip if I want to go to Yui, after all. That's true. His mom still doesn't look convinced, so Izuku kisses her other cheek. He's almost taller than her now. I'll see you after school, Izuku says. It's a promise. His mother holds it to him. Okay, she smiles. Bags under her eyes. But she looks at him like he is her whole world. I'll see you after school. He steps out of the house, takes a deep breath. He feels good. His head is utterly empty. He feels good. He feels less. Like he is running on empty in the best possible way. Walking to his train platform, he absent-mindedly places a few yen to the empty beer can, like he always does. The owner, a ragged man who always camps in front of the station before the security chases him out, barely spares him a glance. Izuku doesn't mind. It's crowded, per usual. He gives a seat to a pregnant lady. To his distant surprise, he doesn't even stutter when he offers a "you're welcome" to her thank you. The flashing light from the window keeps the same rhythm as the gentle sway of the train, casting a surreal light in the car. The crowd, and the car, seems like an impressionist painting in those handful of moments. Strange creatures in a strange plane, all weird angles and harsh shadows, caught frozen in the act of being. And Izuku? He is merely an audience. He isn't part of them. He isn't part of the picture. His mind is absolutely silent. His heartbeat, steady, slow. The void is there again, he thinks, but he doesn't worry about it. He can't. He can't worry about anything right now. Today, the ever-persistent anxiety Izuku has been cultivating in his heart for the past years is just not there. Something is wrong. Something is wrong with him. He walks into the classroom with a calmness he never had. His classmates stare at him. He knows why. He jumped off the school roof on Monday and got mauled by a truck on Wednesday. Today is only Thursday. He's had a busy week. So what? He walks to his seat, not minding the stares. Someone had put a flower vase on his desk. That's sweet, Izuku thinks. He puts down his bag. He doesn't move the flower, a single humble white lily. Deku. Something stutters, deep, deep down in the pit of his stomach. An urging, a warning. It's so weak. Izuku couldn't care less if he wanted to. The whole entire world is underwater, and he is on the edge of the pool. Or maybe it's the other way around. Good morning, Kaken. The ashen, burnt sugar scent he knows so well. The look of disgust and petty contempt, and something else Izuku has never seen before in Katsuki Bakugo's face. Izuku recognizes a vague, obscure sensation of something, a knocking at the back of his mind, a low hushed warning. But Izuku wonders idly. He doesn't care, though. You piece of... In the split second when his back meets the wall with a resounding slam, the buried, distant thing somewhere in Izuku's chest stutters. The knocking is rising slowly to a crescendo. He blinks. Shit, Kaken sneers. Izuku's collars are balled up in his fists. Izuku frowns. Let go of my clothes. Kaken freezes, but it doesn't last long. Katsuki Bakugo is incapable of staying silent for more than approximately 3 seconds. After all, what the fuck did you just say? This is my last spare uniform, Izuku explains patiently. The other one got messed up, you see. The hold in his collar tightens, and then explosive goes off. There goes his uniform, he thinks, eyeing the singed edges of the fabric. Darn, Izuku says softly. I told you this is my last one. Don't fuck with me. You fucking freak. Not before, and not after that shit stunt you pulled. You think you got me fooled with that bullshit. Kaken's eyes are manic, blazing red. He looks insane, Izuku thinks. You think just because you. Gnashing, bared teeth. His fists, still curled insistently against Izuku's chest, are shaking with anger. Anger, hatred, and something else. Something Izuku never saw in Kaken because he didn't think it possible. Like this, snarling and trembling and heaving. Kaken looks like a cornered animal. With a faraway, clouded surprise, Izuku realizes that Kaken is afraid. Because I killed myself? Izuku's breath leaves him with a start as his back bangs to the wall once more. The pressure of rough force against his ribcage isn't pleasant. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You fucking shit. You little lying fucking shit. You think you're so fucking smart. What sort of shitty trick did you pull, huh? He lets go, abrupt and harsh. The air tastes like smoke. You're just a quirkless, useless fucking nobody. Quirkless fucking Deku. Izuku stares. And stares. He looks for it. For that odd, fleeting thing he thinks he saw in Kaken. The flash of something pitiful beneath all those layers of bravado concealed in childish, petty hate. Distantly, he thinks there is a siren going off in Izuku's head. He thinks there is something missing in Izuku. A piece of him isn't there. Izuku isn't all there. Does it matter, though? Does he care? No, not really. You think it's your fault. Izuku ponders out loud, eyes never leaving Kaken's face, taking note of every shift in his expression. Every frown and every stuttering breath, every cruel curve of Kaken's sneering mouth, the wild look in his eyes. You think I did it because of you. You think I did it to spite you, don't you? It's brief, but it's there. That flash of fear, of anger and guilt mixed into one explosive, nauseating bang. What the fuck are you? I always knew you were a self-centered egomaniac, Izuku says, in genuine honesty. But you know, Kaken, not everything is about you, though. The flare of absolute fury swallowing Kaken's face is the only warning Izuku gets before those hands reach to hurt him again. With a strength Izuku doesn't know he has, Izuku takes those angry hands in a vice grip. The surprise is clear. In a rare second, Kaken is stock still. Distantly, Izuku registers that the whole class is dead silent, watching the fiasco goes down. Someone should call a teacher. Izuku doesn't really care. I'm going to fucking kill you, Izuku recites. His eyes are pierced, hard, to Bakugu's. Unleaving. Unmoving. That's what you always say to me, isn't it? That you're going to fucking kill me. Izuku pulls those hands in a hard yank, so that they are right next to either sides of Izuku's face. Try it then. Kaken looks at him, anger frozen, dumbfounded, even, and scared. This time, the fear is palpable in his eyes. No one else could see it, maybe, but Izuku knows him since they were 4. He's never seen this kind of vulnerable look in Kaken before, and he is almost fascinated by it. I'm going to be a hero, Kaken, Izuku tells him calmly, steady as a pond. If you don't want me to, you're going to have to kill me. So try. It's so easy. It shouldn't take much. One giant explosion or two. He knows Kaken's capabilities, and he is more than capable to do Izuku in. It shouldn't be much different from blowing his head with a shotgun. Not something Izuku hasn't fantasized about. Something is wrong. Something is wrong with him. Snapped out of whatever shock trance he was in, Kaken yanks his wrists free with a growl and shoves him back for a good measure. Izuku lets him, and they stare at each other in a tense, anxious instance. Fucking freak, Kaken spits, finally. His voice shakes from tightly cinched fury and other unnamed, denied emotions. Izuku blinks and doesn't reply. The bell rings. The class begins. No one talks to Izuku for the rest of the day, other than the teacher. He doesn't mind. The teacher takes the flower away, though, which is a shame, Izuku thinks. She mutters something about mistakes and counseling, and Izuku really could not care any less. She has always turned the other eye whenever the other kids get rough with Izuku, anyway. Whenever Kaken starts hurting him. He pays some attention when she gives him the form for future career prospect, though. Barely registering her lecture, he writes, UA High School. In the train, Izuku taps the blunt end of his ballpoint at his volume 14 notebook. It's opened on the first page. He taps a few times more, right on the line where he'd written his name the other day. Midoriya Izuku. He drags the ballpoint halfway down across the page, where he'd written, drawback equals? Apathy, he scribbles, and stops. He scratches the word out, and shuts the notebook. His heartbeat is steady, consistent. He doesn't know when the high ends, because this must be some kind of a high. Izuku never knows the true meaning of the word carefree until now. Despite everything, he is utterly and completely still. The core of him. He barely fidgets. He doesn't stutter. The fog starts to disperse. Slowly, so very slowly, but he knows. This doesn't last. And he doesn't want it to last. Does he? It's his stop. He gets off. The homeless man isn't at the station anymore. Izuku pulls out his phone. His mom has sent a dozen today, and it's only been 7 hours of school. He replies each of her texts. She doesn't need to worry more than she already has, after all. His station is only a few blocks away from his house. Another block, and he already sees the 7-Eleven he usually goes to. Maybe he should buy his mom some ice cream? Izuku doesn't realize he has stopped breathing until his steps halt. He doesn't know what happened. The next thing he knows is that he is throwing up violently at the side of the street. It's like getting woke up violently by a blaring morning alarm, like getting hit by cold water or slammed by a semi-trailer truck at 80 miles per hour to your demise. Izuku retches and heaves. He cringes at the sight. Who is going to clean these up? He thinks in muffled remorse. He always makes messes everywhere. Another wave of nausea blasts him, and he vomits until he can't anymore. You okay there, buddy? A pack of tissue offered to his line of sight. He would reply, but he is busy dry heaving on a now empty stomach. His mouth tastes like acid and breakfast. He takes the tissue with trembling hands, though, and nods. Nodding only makes him look like he's having a seizure on top of his vomit hysteria. He doesn't get it. He thinks, stunned at his own abrupt malfunction. He was all right. He was perfectly fine, and now he can't. Whoa, buddy, breathe. The person says, but it's so far away, so far away. He is the one underwater. He is the one unreachable. Not him. He's sinking fast and quick, and there is no lifeline. Izuku gasps, takes a violent, body-wrecking breath. He has never had this kind of panic attack before. He thinks he is dying. Breathe. That's right. Keep going. Just keep breathing. He doesn't know how long that went on. His legs feel like jelly. He blinks. You're the cashier, Izuku says hoarsely. The 7-Eleven cashier lady stares back at him. She is in uniform, hair still wet from shower. She must be on her way to work. She looks pale, staring at him like he just woke up from a grave. Do you have anyone I could phone? Izuku reels, stuttering forward in a sudden burst of nervous energy. No, that's not necessary. He feels like he just woke up from a long slumber. He is wide awake, anxiety and all. He frowns, struggling to form the words. I'm so sorry, he blurts, after a battle with his brain functions. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I need to go. Now. He needs to go now? Stumbling, he jolts into a pitiful power walk to the vague direction of his house his brain provides. Behind him, he thinks the lady is saying something, but he can't handle that right now. He doesn't know how long he's walking. He doesn't even know if he's past the 7-Eleven or the spot where his feet stops in front of his apartment. He takes a moment to lean against the brick wall, grounding pressure on the back of his head. Of course. Drawback. He huffs a laugh, maybe a sob. Of course. Before anyone else could notice the mess that is Midoriya Izuku, he drags himself inside. His hands are shaking so hard, he keeps dropping his keys as he fumbles his way in. Mom, he calls, and hates himself for it. No one is home. She is still at work. Of course. Good. She can't know about this. She can't know about this. Whatever this is. He blinks tears from his eyes. He can't handle being in this uniform anymore, and in the hurry of getting it off, he almost rips it apart. He stares at the frayed, ashen fabric that's left of his collar. Kakin. Shit. Izuku's legs go down, hard, under his precarious trembling weight. He hits the floor, and he can't even feel it. Kakin. What was Izuku thinking? Nothing, he realizes, with a burgeoning horror. He wasn't thinking. The whole day, and he wasn't thinking at all. He struggles to grasp the person he was this morning, the person he was after he woke up in the morgue. The cold, dead thing in his chest. The sensation of unmitigated detachment. The knowledge that he wasn't all there, and he was perfectly fine with it. The pure bliss of not giving a single fuck. Izuku isn't stupid. This is messed up. This is wrong. He pulls out his notebook, the tremor still painfully visible in his hand as he opens the cap of his pen. Drawback equals? He writes, addictive. He slams the book shut. His mom comes home at 5 with a martial art brochure in hand. Izuku, she says excitedly, I think you'd be interested in this. Izuku stops sweeping the living room and takes the brochure curiously, if warily. It's a new open dojo just a few blocks away. It offers Aikido, Judo, Kenjutsu. He tears his eyes away. His mom is staring at him expectantly with bright eyes. Why? He says, before he could stop himself, and the sight of his mother's enthusiasm diminishing visibly pains him. No, no, I'm interested, he hurriedly attempts to placate. I'm definitely interested, it's just didn't expect it, is all. He really didn't. He knows his mom wants the best for him. He knows she loves him more than anything in the world. At times it's suffocating, like how a mother's love does, but Izuku wouldn't trade it for the world. But he also knows that regarding his affinity with heroes, she isn't always on board with it. It's all with his safety in mind, he knows, but… Izuku. His mother holds his shoulders gently with both of her tired, working hands. I know I haven't been the most supportive with your dreams. Izuku opens his mouth and closes it again, speechless by the conversation. Inko's grip on his shoulders is firm and warm and grounding. Her eyes, kind and intelligent and pained, searching his face. I know that, and I regret that. Her voice trembles, and I won't make the same mistake again. Ever again. Izuku thinks about that trip to the doctor years ago. And what comes after? The tears in his mother's eyes, the unstoppable stream of them, and the quiet, final whisper of apology. Like him, she lost something that day. Maybe it's just his imagination, but right now, looking at the sheer, unmoving conviction in her mother's eyes, he thinks she got it back. Hope. You're going to be a hero, sweetheart, she smiles, and it's so comforting. It's so full of love for Izuku. Tears prick Izuku's eyes. And I'm going to make sure you'll be a great one. Izuku cries. And then his mother cries too. They have dinner later than usual that night. His chest constricts painfully with each shuddering breath he takes. He knows he can't hold out any longer. He's approaching his limit soon, so he runs even faster, taking in every rush of adrenaline and pain and the wind in his hair. The air tastes of sea salt and his own body sweat. His muscles are screaming, lactic acid rushing in. I'm going to die, he thinks, dramatically, before his legs finally give and he falls to a stop. He lies on the sand. Above him, seabird croons. His throat is parched to hell and back. He grabs his water bottle and dumps the content to his mouth like an animal. From the horizon, dawn has just finished breaking, casting mellow, gentle purple bleeding down the sky. The sun rises. With a start, Izuku realizes that he feels great. He smiles, small and self-deprecating, just an unsure twist of his mouth. He really should make this running thing a habit. His therapist did say it should be good for him. It's gorgeous, isn't it? The stranger who has been running ahead of him is now next to him, smiling tentatively. He is a skeleton of a man, gaunt with a sickly pallor. But there are some healthy red to his cheeks now, courtesy to the run, perhaps. Izuku has been fearing for the man's life, due to his wet coughing. But this close, Izuku realizes in half awe and half horror that this man towers over him. Izuku has never been the tallest person in class, but this man must be at least 2 meters tall. Registering that it's rude to gape at the person who is starting a conversation, Izuku ducks his head shyly, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah. He stumbles a bit, before regaining his composure. It's gorgeous. It really is. He drags his eyes from the man to inspect the now brightening sky, vast and blue and pink. Izuku smiles. He hasn't seen a sunrise in a long, long time. I never saw anyone else running around here before. The man begins, before another wet cough wrecks through him. Izuku averts his eyes, determined not to let it bother him. He really hates being rude. Yeah, Izuku can see why. Dagoba Beach, despite the beautiful sunrise, is a hideous trash dumpster. But that's exactly why he started to run here, of all place. I like that. I like that it's empty. It makes him less nervous. Also, he slows, tentative. Well, I was thinking that maybe I could start cleaning it up, bit by bit. It could be some kind of project or sort, and he needs to work up some muscles. Anyway, the dojo has been great so far, but it also reveals to him that he lacks endurance and strength. He is a fast little guy, though, so he has that going for him. The man stares at him before smiling. For a moment, Izuku is struck with a weird déjà vu. Something is familiar about it, and then it's gone. That's a fine idea, young man, the man says. His voice is soft. Despite his height and emaciated figure, Izuku finds it hard to feel threatened or intimidated. This man feels kind. Ah, my name is Yagi Tashinori. What's your name, son? Izuku makes up his mind. He doesn't talk to strangers, but it's a good day. An actual good day, one in a million. And this looks like it could be a start to a friendship. Izuku doesn't have many of those. Midoriya Izuku. He smiles, bowing respectfully. Nice to meet you, Yagi-san. It's Saturday morning, and Izuku is in the middle of taking apart his lamp when someone knocks on his door. Izuku. Her voice is a bit muffled from behind the door, but he can hear a tentative note in it. Someone is here to meet you. A minute. He puts down the wrench before checking himself in the mirror. He deems himself guest-worthy. No idea who it is, though. None of his classmates, that's for sure. Maybe one of his aunts, or something. He opens the door to find his mother smiling minutely. Is everything okay, Mom? He's seen that look before. She's nervous. Yes, that's when he hears someone. No, people. That's when he hears a bickering from the living room. Izuku's eyebrows shoot up. And then, in faint horror, is Kaken here? No, she says assuringly, though she frowns at his apprehension towards the thought that Bakugo might be here. She decides to save it for later. She sighs. She is clearly distressed. It's the Seiki family. Who? The boy, she says slowly. The boy that you saved. Oh, he says as much. If you don't feel like seeing them, I can ask them to go, his mom says, almost protectively. Izuku blinks, processing her words. Why would I not want to see them? His mom frowns again. This time he notices the pinched look in her eyes. She isn't nervous, he realizes. She is worried. Izuku, she starts. Distantly, they hear the odd, unfamiliarly familiar bickering hikes up a notch. What you experienced was incredibly traumatic. I'm not sure that getting reminded of it out of the blue would be good for you. I'm not a professional, of course, but it could be a trigger or some sort. She must have consulted Dr. Mitsugu again. Or maybe his mom is much more perceptive than what Izuku gives her credit for. Either way, he attempts to smile. I've been doing pretty well, more or less. And it's been a while anyway. A tiny bit over 2 months now. He wonders why they decide to pay a visit out of the blue. Are you sure? Yes. He puts a reassuring hand on her elbow. She sighs. Okay. He walks hesitantly, though, down the hallway. Despite his placating, he isn't exactly ecstatic. But probably mostly because he just doesn't like meeting people in general. Makes him too nervous, and he usually makes a spectacular fool out of himself. He takes a deep breath before he enters the living room, preparing himself. The bickering has died down some time ago, slowed into a hushed scolding. His eyes immediately meet with the boy, who then in return immediately averts his eyes. Izuku blinks, but then his eyes arrive on the boy's mother, he presumes. She is a short woman, shorter than Inko, even, but she has a fierce look to her. Unlike Izuku and his mother's uncanny similarities, though, her only resemblance with her son is the jet black hair they have, and that bold, intense way they carry themselves. This may not be the Bakugo family, Izuku faintly thinks, but they sure feel like it. Before he has the chance to introduce himself, the mother beats him to the punch. Hello. She smiles, though she seems uneasy. Izuku doesn't blame her. The situation must be uncomfortable for her too. I'm Seiki Toju. It's a pleasure to meet you. He returns her bow. I'm Midoriya Izuku. Pleasure to meet you too. Though, she probably already knows his name. Seiki-san then slaps the back of the head of her son lightly. Introduce yourself. Shut the hell up. Watch your darn mouth. Izuku feels a mild déjà vu. Seiki Katsuki. The boy mutters, then, rudely. Katsuki. It's almost hilarious. Of course. The universe just loves to screw with him. Nice to meet you, Seiki-kun. Izuku offers. The boy merely sniffs, clearly miffed by the whole thing. His mom sighs, with exasperation laced in her annoyance. My apologies, he is a rude kid. I don't know what I did wrong, but… She glares at her son, who glares back. It's a comical sight. I hope he'll grow out of it. The boy grumbles something incomprehensible. What did you say? Nothing. Katsuki-kun. Inko has miraculously appeared by Izuku's side. Would you like some hot chocolate? Katsuki freezes, glaring at nowhere in particular. Clearly no child would refuse such an offer, but Katsuki doesn't want to go back on his war declaration to every adult in existence or something, probably. And then his eyes catch Izuku's again. The boy looks angry, Izuku notes, and guilty. He averts his eyes once more, before mumbling a snarky, but clear, okay. Would you like to come make some with me? Before Katsuki could open his mouth to yell some expletives, his mother cuts in. Yes, of course, she tugs him forward. Katsuki looks like he would protest, but Inko, with a face positively blinding with a bright, genuine smile and an air of optimism like she wouldn't in 100 years expect him to refuse, simply takes his hand and leads him to the kitchen. Feeling impressed by his mother, Izuku turns to find that he is left alone with Seiki Toju-san. Now he is nervous. He can see that Seiki-san is too, but she covers it valiantly with a brave face. Izuku remembers his manners belatedly. Ah, please. Izuku gestures to the sofa, and they both sit awkwardly. Midoriya-kun. Izuku is fine, Izuku says, feeling immensely guilty for some reason. Time to address the elephant in the room. He hopes he doesn't throw up. He's been feeling pretty okay, if a little antsy. He should be able to handle this. Maybe. She looks surprised, but not for long. Call me Toju, then, she says, smiling softly. Izuku blushes, shaking his hands in denial. I can't possibly. Please. She looks like she means it. Something about her rock-hard demeanor makes him tentatively assent. Okay, Toju-san, he tries. Okay, she smiles, and takes a deep breath, and there it is. I'm sorry it took a while for us to meet you. Oh no. The sudden, overwhelming wave of guilt makes him cringe. Really, it's fine. Please, Izuku-kun. She smiles, a sad twist of her mouth. So he stops. She continues. I could never repay you for what you did. Ever. I can't. Her voice cracks, and then that fierceness returns again in her eyes. My son is my life. You saved not only his life, but mine too. I came here to thank you. Izuku is too stunned to reply, or to think. But she is nothing except hard, genuine honesty. You are our hero, she says, and Izuku's mind goes blank for a second. Izuku looks around, anywhere but her in a sudden fit of embarrassment and anxiety. He finally settles looking up to the ceiling for a hot moment and pray that he doesn't burst crying in the next second. When he is sure the tears won't come, he attempts to look at somewhere at her forehead. Thank you, he says hoarsely. He clears his throat. But I'm not. But I'm selfish and a coward and useless and the opposite of a hero, of all things, and… He holds his tongue. She needed to thank him. He can stave off his self-hatred for a moment for her. He can handle the guilt if for a while, for her. If it allows her to feel better, even for a moment, inhale. Exhale. Thank you, he says again, and stops at that. She smiles, less melancholic now. And whatever heavy mood that settled over the room at the beginning of their conversation starts to give way. I really am sorry for coming out of the blue after such a long time, though, she sighs. Before Izuku could mention the awkward get-well-soon parcel that they'd sent months ago, though, she continues, it's just that boy. A note of fond annoyance. I don't know where he got it from. He's always been a tough one, but he's never been unkind, not since, she trails, and her face sours. Whatever she was going to say, she must have decided it's too private to share. Nonetheless, he should learn his manners. Speak of the devil. Izuku finds a mug of hot cocoa placed violently in front of him. The boy doesn't deign him a verbal word, seemingly insistent and pretending he doesn't exist as he sits far away across him, sipping his own cocoa. Thank you, Katsuki-kun, Inko says, sitting next to Izuku with her own glass. It's delicious. The boy doesn't reply, but the red in his cheeks is unmistakable. Paired with the ever-present scowl on his face, it's almost cute. Katsuki, Toju-san says, slowly. There is a heavy hesitance to her that wasn't there before. She looks at her son like she is walking on a landmine. Remember what we came here for. Katsuki freezes, and then his face changes, twisting into a fuming thing. He puts down his mug at the edge of the table carelessly, like he's lost his appetite. His mother sighs, for the umpteenth time. Son. Thanks, the boy blurts, rough. Izuku blinks. The expression of gratitude, Izuku realizes belatedly, is directed at him. And then, thanks for getting hit by a truck. Katsuki, Toju-san scolds, sharply, the same time as Izuku replies, no problem, because Izuku is a dumbass. Thankfully, no one acknowledges Izuku's bit because Katsuki explodes immediately. Why do I have to be sorry? He's standing up, now, and to Izuku's shock, the little kid is shaking, fists held tight and trembling. They scrunch up the edge of his shirt so harshly Izuku can hear the fabrics creak in protest. Why do I always have to be sorry? It's not my fault that he... Their eyes catch. The kid's words abruptly stop, and for a split second, Izuku thinks, this has happened before. That merciless, bone-crushing terror in this kid's eyes as they looked at each other, the rest of the world forgotten. And what comes after? The entirety of Izuku's body trashing in a wildfire of pure, blinding pain. The last thing Izuku saw, before the raindrops, was this, a scared little boy. This time, rendered numb by the violent flashback, it's Izuku who looks away. Seiki Katsuki doesn't finish his sentence. He bolts to the door, slamming it to its hinges. Katsuki, Toju reaches out, a moment too late. Her son has left the apartment. She visibly slumps in her seat, and for the first time her face shows the bone-deep weariness she carries with her. In Katsuki's haste, he has accidentally stumbled the table. The mug has fallen to the floor somewhere between his escape, the loud clang unheard and forgotten. Izuku stares at the slow outpouring of the chocolate, dark liquid staining the previously clean, white granite of the floor. First a stream, now a pond. Far away, he wonders if his blood had looked like that when spilled. If his blood looks like that when spilled. I am so sorry, Toju says, shaking. I have no idea why he... Please, let me. It's all right, Inko says, soothingly. Her hand is placed on her elbow in sympathy. I have no idea. He's been so volatile, ever since. She takes a shuddering breath. She looks so stressed. Izuku realizes she looks like how Izuku's mom looks when she thinks he isn't looking. Ever since. Toju sighs, a hand covering her eyes. Ever since we found out he was quirkless. I should go after him. Izuku stands up before he knows it. Both women stare at him. Let me, Toju-san. Wait. He doesn't hear the rest of the sentence. Feet skidding as he gets out of the elevator, not out of order for once. He frantically looks around. The kid can't be too far, can he? Except if he lived around here, which is a possibility, and is now therefore on the way home, and spots the mop of black hair in front of a vending machine near the apartment. Izuku takes a deep breath and scrounges his pocket for a few spare yens. The boy notices him when he is a few feet away, which prompts him to huff and turn the other way around, stomping to leave. Hey, Izuku says, as the vending machine loudly thumps. He crouches down to take the 2 cans of cold Milo he just paid for. He looks up to see the little guy staring at him with a pinched face. Without warning, Izuku throws him a can, lightly. The boy catches it. Decent reflexes. Probably from soccer. You didn't get to finish your drink, Izuku says. He likes to think he is acting pretty suave and unbothered at this moment. But Izuku knows that he is generally the most non-intimidating person around at all times. The boy frowns and looks at the can in his hand, seemingly at a battle with himself. Izuku knows that no 9-year-olds can resist the power of cold Milo, though. He'd know. He was one once, after all. Izuku cracks open his and takes a sip, while pretending to not be looking at the boy. From the corner of his eyes, Seiki Katsuki cracks open his, winning and losing his own battle at the same time. Izuku does a mental fist pump in his heart, but still attempts to act cool. He subtly puts out his phone to text his mom. He's with me, don't worry. He slips his phone back in his back pocket. Now what? They are two boys at the side of the street drinking Milo while trying to awkwardly pretend the other doesn't exist. Okay, keep it cool, Izuku coaches himself, but he knows it's a lost cause. Izuku knows his capabilities and is therefore perfectly aware that he is in no way capable of being cool. Alright, screw this. Alright, screw this, he announces in defeat, shifting a hand through his mess of a hair. The boy snaps up to look at him, in small surprise. Might as well get over it, right? Izuku gestures vaguely. You don't want to be here. To which the boy does not deny. Izuku gestures to himself. I don't not want to be here, but this is clearly not working for either of us, so. The boy still stares, a bit dumbfounded. Izuku notices he's grown the missing tooth. Izuku takes a deep breath. Here goes nothing. Do you want to see my pet fish? Now the boy is no longer looking at him like he is a thing that's stuck on the sole of a shoe. He is just looking at Izuku like Izuku is weird as hell. Which, fair. What? The boy says. Do you want to see my pet fish? Also, I'm fixing up my aquarium, so if you want to, help. Izuku knows he's given up on being cool a while ago, but this still feels like a jab at his non-existent self-worth. But whatever, man. The little guy is still looking at him strangely, and Izuku's confidence is shrinking by the second when he says, in a weird, stilted voice like he is half angry and half confused, Are you acting nice to me? Izuku blinks. Now that's unexpected. He shifts his foot to the side in a nervous tick. Well, Izuku says in honesty, yes. Izuku realizes what that strange look is. The kid is wary of him. Untrusting. Why the fuck is that? Izuku thinks about it for a moment in genuine confusion. Why? Izuku repeats, slowly. Why not? Everyone should be nice to everyone. They stare at each other for a long time, and then the kid starts to power walk past him. Izuku thought the kid was going home, or just screws off somewhere, or something. But then he notices that, hey, this is the way to Izuku's apartment. Izuku decides to take the change and just follow him, keeping a few meters distance. He is careful not to spill his drink, sipping it slowly as they go. It's a short walk. The kid hadn't wandered far. They don't speak on the walk, nor when they are both in the elevator, and certainly not when they stop in front of Izuku's welcome mat. The kid doesn't move to knock, so Izuku does. He hears the sound of locks sliding before the door opens, revealing both mothers staring at them in a mix of worry and anticipation. And then Katsuki turns to look at Izuku. He is almost taller than Izuku's shoulder, to Izuku's dismay, and says, in an unreasonably angry way, well? Izuku blinks, before stammering a little. Oh, all right. Mom, I'm gonna go show Katsuki-kun my pet fish. He pauses, idly astonished by how absolutely lame that sounds. He shakes his head. Now is not the time to ponder the sad, lame nature of his character. And, maybe he can help a little, if that's okay. He directs the last bit tentatively at Toju-san, who blinks in surprise. Oh, sure, she says, almost stunned. Of course. Izuku goes down the hallway, turning a little to see if Katsuki is following him. He is, with Milo still gripped tight in hand, eyes averted to stare angrily at the floor as he stomps along and enters his room, which is chock full of All Might paraphernalia, which he'd somehow forgotten about when he'd invited a cynical, dynamite 9-year-old to his room. Izuku mentally slaps himself in the face. He moves himself as if to somehow cover the entirety of his room from sight, which is to no avail. Anyway, he stops, and then he decides to just accept his shame as he walks towards the center of the room where he's been trying to set up a lamp and the half-done water change pipe. Peeking, he sees that Katsuki is tentatively, but curiously, taking a look around. It's not a big room, definitely, and although Izuku can be messy sometimes, a lot of times, he's kept each of his hero merchandise tidy and well taken care of. They aren't cheap, after all, and he bought all of them from saving up on his pocket money. Katsuki is in the middle of staring at a Christmas edition All Might figurine when Izuku decides he's had enough of his self-conscious induced shame and just comes clean. Yes, I'm a hero nerd, Izuku mumbles, taking a wrench in hand as he gets to his previously interrupted work on the lamp. Katsuki snorts, but somehow Izuku feels like he is less vehement now. Maybe. Obviously. Now, he walks towards the side of Izuku's bed, where Izuku had kept an aquarium tank on his bedside table. It's a 5-gallon of entirely handmade tank, low iron glass. He'd almost cut off a finger, but honestly, it's worth it. It's 2 months ongoing now, Izuku says, and he can't help but feel pride from it. It was definitely not easy work. No FERT, no CO2, no filter. Not bad for a first try, honestly, so Izuku allows himself to feel a little good about it. Katsuki is tapping the glass gently, and the betta fish swirls around the plants, peeking at and avoiding the foreign object. I only put fish there just 2 days ago. Does it got a name? Fish. Katsuki turns to stare at him blankly. The fish, Izuku explains, and ducks back at his work in an attempt to cover his blushing cheeks. Its name is, fish. Wow. Katsuki responds in a completely flat voice. Yes, I know. I thought it was funny. Okay. Izuku says a bit defensively as he scrounges around his tool bag for, He triumphantly holds the electric mini metal saw. He almost doesn't notice Katsuki gingerly sitting cross-legged in front of him. There is a hint of reluctance to his words, but also, to Izuku's surprise, a genuine curiosity. He knows how curiosity sounds like. Izuku is a very curious person, after all. What's that for? To do this, Izuku pauses. You might want to back up a little, just a little. Yeah, that's fine. So, the light is too big, he explains, as he starts cutting carefully but with deft hands. So I'm shortening it. After he finished, he put the mini saw back. He doesn't want to risk Katsuki hurting himself accidentally, and takes the loose screws and cables and starts implementing them back to the now medium-length desk lamp. Why not buy a new one? Katsuki asks, but it's not derisive or anything. Just genuine confusion and pure inquisitiveness. With a start, Izuku realizes that the boy has been watching him intently in silence. Well, Izuku says, looping a cable into the self-made metal hole and screws it shut. Why buy when you can make one just fine? Or in this case, remake one, I guess. Oh, can you pass me the bulb? Yeah, thanks. He reaches to plug the thing and, yep, proving his point. He smiles briefly, before turning to look at Katsuki. The little guy looks surprised at his success, which should be offensive, probably, but it only makes Izuku grin a bit wider. He just impressed a 9-year-old kid. That's his greatest accomplishment in a long time. Yes, it's sort of pathetic, but no, he doesn't really care, not at the moment, anyway. Mind giving me a hand? Katsuki helps holding the tank steady while Izuku fixes the light overhead securely. Fish is curiously swimming near the surface, every one of its movements followed by Katsuki's eyes. Plugged, they both watch as the desk lamp casts a haunting, piercing light on the aquarium, highlighting the green of the plants Izuku had planted naturally months ago into a stunning, forest-deep verdant wonder. It looks gorgeous. Izuku can't help a laugh that passed his lips. Katsuki turns to look at him, and Izuku allows himself to smile, genuinely. Well, damn. We did pretty good, huh? He nudges the little guy. Katsuki's mouth twists in what looks like an attempt to stop his own smile, which makes him look a bit constipated. But Izuku takes all the wins he can get. What? There is that note of apprehension, again, but Izuku waits. What are those plants? Izuku's rare flare of optimism might be fooling him, but that actually sounds like honest interest. Limna minor, duckweed. Izuku gestures at the floating plant. And that's water nymph, pennywort, some Vallisneris natans. Originally, I had some leaf Dinacaris, but they didn't survive the first month. Might try putting them back again. Though, since the plants are thriving pretty well at this point, maybe after a few weeks when the tank is stable enough. Planning to put some more livestock too, maybe Armano shrimps or velvet shrimps. He only stops when he realizes the kid is staring at him weird again. Sorry, Izuku says, as his cheeks heat for the umpteenth time today. I have a mumbling habit. Trying to cut that down, it kinda comes out when I'm excited though. Now I'm doing it again. Anyway, Katsuki is staring at him still, but now with a somewhat contemplative look on his face. As contemplative a 9-year-old can look, anyway. You're not just a hero nerd, he says, you're an actual nerd. Izuku slumps, but only a little. Thank you for your input. The earth is round, the sky is blue. You're a little. Izuku pauses, looking for the mild word. Jerk. Please, tell me more things that I already know. Katsuki snorts. Izuku follows suit. They stare at each other again. Call Izuku a dreamer, but he thinks they might be getting along now. Somewhat. So, Katsuki pauses, looking at the aquarium again. You're maintaining an ecosystem. Izuku glances at him in newfound surprise. That's right, he says, while cracking his head to remember the curriculum for 9 years old, and comes up with nothing. As a 9-year-old, he only remembers doing god-awful All Might cosplays and hiding his Kakin-produced bruises from his mom, and crying a lot, though he still does the last part now as a 15-year-old. So, that's… Katsuki scrunches his face, as if it pains him to finish his sentence. That's pretty cool. Now Izuku is actually surprised. Flabbergasted, even. Really? Shut up. Izuku isn't gonna push. Someone just called him cool, even if it's a 9-year-old who had called him a bitch right before he got hit by a truck. Again, Izuku takes all the wins he can get. You want to learn how to make a water-changing pipe? They both learn together. Izuku doesn't really know how, and he isn't sure if the one in progress he is right now is proper, so they both watch an ancient 5-minute YouTube video on it. Aquascaping is kind of a niche hobby that exploded a bit in the 21st century. Izuku had Whisper explained before Katsuki told him to shut up so he can hear the video better. Turns out, Izuku is on the right track, so they just continue a little from it. It's fairly simple, just heating an acrylic pipe to bend it. The tricky part is fixing it properly with a nozzle. The second-hand water-changing pipe he'd been using had the nozzle accidentally broken, so Izuku wants to make sure it's fixed strongly enough. You know, Izuku says, as they go out of his room to the hallway. You can come here anytime, if you, want. Or if you want to try changing the water. Or, well, a lot of stuff. It's cool. Katsuki only responds with a disgruntled-sounding grunt, but good enough, Izuku guesses. Before Toju, who looks lighter, now, somehow, strings Katsuki along, though, the boy mutters an apology with a beet-red face to Inko for breaking the mug, to which Inko laughs and punishes him with a tight hug. Please come anytime, Izuku says, and is met with a hug from Toju. Mothers and their supernatural abilities to give good hugs. Izuku can never understand. Toju-sen doesn't say anything, but when their eyes meet, Izuku understands what is being unsaid. Thank you. Izuku nods, and the Seiki family leaves. Huh. He glances at the clock in the living room. Only 3 in the afternoon, but Izuku already thinks, what a day. He has totally filled up his people quota for a whole week. He still got that practice in a few hours, though. Ojiro-senpai is coming today, and he'd promised to show up. He'd also promised to run with Tashinori-san tomorrow. Look at him, the paragon of social interaction. Incredible. Maybe this is his peak, huh? Let's not jinx it, he thinks. He's got 7 months until U.A entrance exam, after all. And Izuku has ideas. It might not seem like it, but Midoriya Izuku is not an optimist. He supposes he had been, once, in a way that all children at some point believe they were destined for great things. Izuku doesn't really know where that point had long since passed, when he'd learned that he has a handicap, that he has to work twice as hard, not even to win, just to merely be there. Izuku knows what losing feels like. Belly acid and blood-bitten lips and the constant ashen, burnt smell clinging to his school uniforms. Losing, to Izuku, is akin of water to fish. Ranking second academically in his grade ever since elementary school sure didn't help him to get popular. Didn't even help stop his bullying, if worse. Only made him look at Kakin's back again, ad infinitum, as Kakin stands first place. Always. Kakin, above him, ahead of him. Like an absolute, immovable object of victory. A cruel, taunting representation of what Izuku can never be. Or what Izuku could have been. He'd just missed the genetic lottery. Well, no use crying over what never was. Though still, of course, Izuku cries. Occasionally. Izuku isn't an optimist. Not really. He would say he is a realist, albeit a really, really stupid one. Which means this. Izuku is really stupidly ambitious. Life has dealt him a set of crap cards. Izuku just has to learn how to deal, and occasionally, cheats. You fight dirty, Yagi observes, almost in marvel. Izuku's lungs creak painfully, having all its air punched away when his back hit the sand. Izuku twists his mouth in something resembling a grin and a grimace. The sky is blood orange. The sun is going down. It's going to be dark soon. I still lost in the end, though, he says when he manages to. He takes the hand offered and winces. His shoulder blades smart a little as he gets on his feet. Sorry for that, Yagi-san. I told you to call me Tashinori. Tashinori chides, but with a smile. Due to his height, his stature blocks the wisps of dying sunlight almost entirely, casting the edges of his blonde hair in a golden, glowing halo. Not for the first time, Izuku thinks he's seen this before. Something about the vision is so terribly, dearly familiar. Something about the kind smile, Though I must say, I hadn't expected that. He continues as he tosses Izuku his water bottle. He brought the one with All Might insignia today. He thought it'd somewhat motivate him. Tashinori-san had a funny look on his face when he saw it earlier. I'm sorry. Izuku's insides curdles in a sort of shame. I hope all that sand didn't get too much into your eyes. It was a desperate move, but not something he hadn't thought about ever since they'd started their little sparring sessions on this kind of location. And although a part of Izuku tries to cheaply justify it with taking advantage of his surroundings, it still doesn't feel like a heroic move. It's obviously the total opposite. But Izuku had needed to have some kind of upper hand, some element of surprise, even if for a moment, because the sheer gap of fighting experience between the both of them is painstakingly huge, and if Izuku wants to stand any chance at all, he Midoriya-kun. Izuku snaps up and blinks. Did I say everything out loud? Yes. Darn. Izuku really needs to cut that habit out. Sorry. It's nothing to be sorry for. It takes a while, but Izuku now realizes this particular weird look Tashinori gives him means that he's uncomfortable. He's always uncomfortable whenever Izuku apologizes. For some reason Izuku doesn't get. But, wait, Izuku apologizes a lot. That's like his defining character trait, probably. Which means that Izuku apologizes a lot to him. Which means Tashinori is at least uncomfortable around Izuku 80% of the time. Which means that Midoriya-kun. Izuku is mortified. Did I say those out loud? No, but I could almost hear you thinking. Don't say sorry. Tashinori blurts, cutting Izuku's third apology in the last minute. Okay, sorry. It's out before Izuku can even stop it. Izuku cringes at his own awkwardness and chugs the water down before he blurts out another sorry to apologize for his apology. He kind of avoids looking at Tashinori, but he can hear the man's sighs and resignation, but not without a note of something softer. Izuku thinks about how his mom looks at him with that gentle exasperation on her face. Izuku caps his water bottle. He's got to stop this kind of thoughts before he does something crazy, like looking at Tashinori as some kind of parental figure or something. Wild. Izuku is a lot of stupid, but not that stupid. He hopes. Izuku starts and pauses, trying to figure out a way to say that he's sorry without saying it. I hope you don't mind the thing that I did. Too much. The cold breeze is coming in. It's getting steadily dark down the horizon. Fighting dirty, you mean? There is just a hint of amusement in Tashinori's voice, but also some kind of curiosity. Yeah. Tashinori hums thoughtfully. I don't actually, he admits. I was just surprised is all. This time, it's Izuku who is surprised. Wait, really? Tashinori looks at him sideways with a small smile. He looks healthier, lately, somehow. More relaxed, maybe. Fights are inherently dirty, young Midoriya. No fights are ever really fair. Something about the last sentence strikes Izuku. He turns his gaze to the sea. The last rays of the setting sun turns the end of the ocean into yellow, glimmering diamonds. I guess that's true. And if you're going to be a hero. Izuku turns his head so fast he thinks he gets a whiplash. I suppose you should know that villains aren't the most virtuous fighters. Izuku gapes. How did you? Tashinori's smile turns into something more explicitly amused. This time, mirth in the depth of those sallow eyes. Midoriya-kun, we've been acquainted for more than half a year, now, and you've. He gestures to their surroundings. Turn this garbage dump into an actual beach, now? I even saw someone walk a dog around here the other day. That never happened. Well, Izuku muttered, cheeks heating up ferociously. I wouldn't say I did at all. And you've been taking self-defense practices and the sparring. I never actually beat you, though. Tashinori stops, and they look at each other. They've started their practices for a few months now, long after they've started having lunches together post-running. Izuku had tentatively revealed that he's been taking judo and kenjutsu classes and whatnot, and surprising both of them, Tashinori had offered. Although Tashinori had assured Izuku that he's experienced, though Izuku noticed that he'd avoided telling the full extent of said experience. Izuku had initially been unsure, for many reasons. It's not that Izuku thinks he'd do actual harm to Tashinori. His lessons have been going pretty good, but Izuku definitely does not think of himself as some sort of martial arts prodigy. Izuku has started awkward-footed, skinny-limbed, but well, Tashinori just isn't the fittest guy around. The first time the man actually coughed out blood, Izuku almost called the ambulance. It took a lot of convincing on Tashinori's part to assure Izuku that no, he isn't dying. Not really dying anyway, Tashinori had said. Izuku had sputtered. Not really, D. What does that even mean? I mean, Tashinori had shrunk as the conversation went on. Never a 7-feet-tall man looked so small. I mean, sure, I don't have a stomach, but… Oh, I see you don't have what. But then, after a cautious, awkward, and incredibly humiliating first try, it quickly dawned on him that Tashinori was telling him the truth. The man was clearly experienced and skilled, and despite his thin, frail figure, he had absolutely no problem in kicking Izuku's ass. It's almost ridiculous. And so it continued every other week, with Izuku always ending up having his ass handed to him. No, you haven't, Tashinori agrees. There is something piercing about his gaze, Izuku's noticed for some time. You haven't beat me, but you never stopped trying. Izuku laughs, a harsh, small self-deprecating sound. Yeah, I'm that kind of, hopeless person, you know? Tashinori frowns. He doesn't reply for a while, and Izuku thinks that maybe he said something wrong. Maybe he'd come off too depressed, or something. He hadn't really kept that depression thing in check lately, but then Tashinori crouches down and sits beside him on the sand. Izuku fiddles with a loose thread on his shorts. They go silent for a while. This feels a little too much like a start of some kind of grown-up consultation period or something. Izuku is not a fan of those. With all due respect, young Midoriya, I disagree, he says. And so it begins, Izuku winces. I think someone with as much determination as you is far, far, far from hopeless. Izuku doesn't know what to say, so he doesn't. Maybe he should say thanks, bye and run into the night or something. But at the moment he can only blush and wince harder at the compliment. Kinda wants to deflect it with a nah. I'm pretty pathetic, actually, but he has a strong feeling that more self-belittlement is not a good idea. He already looks pathetic enough as is. So, doesn't explain how you knew I wanted to be a hero, though. Izuku changes the topic in what he hopes a smooth trajectory. I could just be wanting to buff up and have my high school debut as the guy who hit puberty and also the gym. He air quotes each word exaggeratedly. Tashinori laughs, startled by the sudden shift of mood Izuku forces. It's lighter, now, though not without some uneasiness. I don't know, he says, but the residue of his laughter remains. I mean, all the hero merchandise are pretty much a dead giveaway. All right. Izuku can't help but blush. He looks down to the training shirt he wears, All Might colors, and the water bottle, and all those times he babbles about heroes in their little conversations. Tashinori must notice his sudden, apparent embarrassment because he hurriedly jokes, well, if you only wanted to buff up, congratulations, I suppose. Izuku laughs, this time. He appreciates the attempt. Thanks. The grin stays on his face, but not for long. He doesn't know what got into him, but he says it anyway. I'm going to UA. He regrets it immediately. He looks away, his eyes following the dots soaring in the sky. Seabirds, silhouetted into black spots. He can feel Tashinori's eyes burning the back of his head. I'm going to be a hero. I see. Tashinori's voice is soft, so soft it's almost a whisper. but the wind carries it to Izuku. Izuku shakes his head to himself, part embarrassed, part plain bitterness. What am I saying? It's not. It's not like I'm gonna absolutely get in, but he has to. Izuku thinks urgently, desperately. He has to get in. No matter what. No matter what it takes. Izuku draws a deep, careful breath. I don't really have the best chances, but, well, it doesn't hurt to try. Except it does. Izuku is trying, and he knows trying hurts, because he's always been trying. He's been trying his whole life. And where has it taken him? To the morgue. Izuku could laugh. Toshinori does not need to know this. No one needs to know any of this. It doesn't matter, he insists, to himself, to no one. Anyway, Izuku stands up without preamble. This conversation is steering too much too. This conversation is done. I should be home soon. Young Midoriya. Izuku pauses. Great, he thinks acidly he's done it. What Izuku always does. Izuku knows he is, that he is kind of always sad. The kind of sad that makes people uncomfortable at best and disgusted at worst. There are reasons other than Kakin, reasons why it's so difficult for Izuku to find friends. Izuku is sad. He's come to realize that people can feel it. It's like all his sadness is just pouring out of him. He is sad all the time, and it's quite literally unbearable. To him, and he guesses, to everyone else. And he supposes it makes sense, because he is a beaming beacon of look, I'm sad. I'm depressed. And no one wants that. No one wants him, and Izuku doesn't blame them. Izuku doesn't want him either. No one wants the sad, friendless, quirkless kid. He's just something to put pity on once in a while. A peripheral object his classmates glance at while thinking, thank God it wasn't me. Thank God, at least someone is having it worse than I am. People like Izuku does fine as this kind of little reminder to feel grateful. At least I'm not like you. Poor you. But he is not something to look at on the long term. He certainly isn't something to befriend. Izuku's learned this years ago. He forces what he hopes is a neutral smile on his face, so he would stop looking like someone who had attempted to kill himself or something. Which, well, yes, Toshinori-san. He turns, daring himself to look at Toshinori in the eye, and regrets it instantly, because Toshinori looks positively crestfallen. Izuku's really done it. Again, his smile falls off his face, so quick like someone turned off the light. I brought the mood down, didn't I? His throat is painfully dry, despite having just finished his entire water bottle earlier. I'm sorry. Toshinori's face twists for a second, making him look especially ill, more ill than he already is, but it's quickly replaced with a small, startlingly genuine smile. There is nothing to be sorry about. And then, may I ask you a question, Midoriya-kun? Somehow, Izuku knows that it's an honest, fair offer. If Izuku makes up some excuse and makes an escape out of the convo with a simple, it's getting late, Toshinori-san, he can. Toshinori isn't just saying it. Izuku can opt out if he chooses to. No question asked, literally. Breathe, he scolds himself. Calm down. Shoot, Izuku says softly. The sun has gone entirely. The streetlights have lit on. Why are you always so hard on yourself? Now that's unexpected. Izuku stares with wide eyes, stunned. I'm not. He starts and trails. What good would denial do? Izuku pauses. He doesn't like this question. His therapists must have asked him dozens of variations of it 1,000 times over the past 9 months. And he's always given dozens of variations of the same answer. I don't know. But Toshinori isn't his therapist. He is his friend. Distantly, Izuku realizes his hands have started shaking. He grabs the edge of his shirt and hopes it doesn't show. God, is he going to start crying and screw up the only friendship he's had in a decade? He's got to get a damn hold of himself. He pushes his terrible, trembling fists into the pocket of his basketball shorts. He tries to focus his eyes at some faraway point. The udon shop far near the beach. The leftover metal scraps he hasn't gotten the chance to pick up. The cold, vast, uncaring sea. He forces all the trembling, shaking thing in the pit of his chest out of his voice, crushing it down to a flat monotone out of his mouth. I'm never good enough. Wrong answer. Toshinori looks like he just got his heart broken, pain clear and palpable in the frown between his hollow eyes and the cadence of his voice, and Izuku hates it. Midoriya-kun, he starts, but Izuku's had enough. I have to go, Izuku announces and then immediately makes a run for it, which is a stupid move because you can't run haphazardly on sand without slipping and making a fool out of yourself. And that is exactly what he does the next second. 9 months of judo training, and he face-plants to the ground. Fantastic. As he gets up shamefully, now with a mouth full of sand and his ankles twinging in pain, he is silently thankful for Tashinori for not trying to help him amidst his embarrassing spectacle. Izuku disgracefully pats the grains of sand off his shirt and debates the merit of saying something to make things less awkward. Like, see you later, or please forget you ever saw that. Or even better, please forget you ever met me, and please erase all your memories of me, because I am so embarrassed right now I want to die. However, he quickly figures that he's just going to somehow embarrass himself even more so. He just power walks really fast out of the beach with his shoes chock full of sand. When he's sure he's out of Tashinori's line of sight, he throws up at the nearest garbage can. How are you feeling? Great, Izuku says automatically. His mother waits. Not great, Izuku says. She looks at him. I want to chuck myself to the ocean, Izuku confesses, and shoves a spoonful of rice to prevent his mouth from saying anything more. She sighs, but smiles. Well, please don't. Okay. It would be hard to explain to the police. The uncharacteristically dark joke startles Izuku, so much he sputters and nearly spits the aforementioned spoonful of rice. He coughs and drinks his water and swallows. And then his eyes meet his mom's in a short silence, and then they both laugh. This is new. This takes time. Inko has been walking on eggshells after the incident, and it takes a while for both of them to figure out that Izuku doesn't need that fragile treatment. Izuku doesn't think his mandatory therapy sessions has helped him as much as his mother has. The thought gives him both a jolt of unrelenting affection and guilt all the same. So, his mother begins, as they wash the dishes side by side. The entrance exam. He can hear the effort his mother puts to sound nonchalant. Izuku appreciates that. He doesn't want to make a big deal about it, despite it being a really big deal. Precisely because it's a really big deal. It's next week, Izuku confirms, although they both know his mom has been counting down the days on her own. His mom hums. Excited. So excited he could puke. Yeah, Izuku says, and it's not really a lie though. He is excited, even though he knows the whole thing is a bad idea. Because if he fails, he doesn't want to think about it. You won't fail. Izuku turns his head to look at his mom in surprise. Had he said it out loud? No, you didn't say it out loud. His mom smiles sideways at him. But I could hear you thinking. Huh. Izuku smiles, small and brief, before it's quickly replaced by a grimace. I don't know. And then, I have to pass, Mom. I have to. Truly and honestly and desperately. This is all Izuku has. But that's not true, is it? He looks at his mom, who looks back. There is that sort of mix of sorrow and utter love on her face again. What will happen to him if he fails? What then? What will he do to himself? He really doesn't want to think about it, and that's precisely why he has to pass. One way or the other. Quirk or no quirk. Not that his quirk, it still feels ridiculous to think about it. He has a quirk. Him. Would help in a combat situation though. Which is a problem, because he knows UA, as a powerhouse academy, won't let a non-combative student into its prestigious, extremely selective hero class. Izuku doesn't even know what the entrance exam has in store, both the written test and the practical one, only that they are excessively difficult. They shake things up every year, and if anything about the research he's conducted tell him, the practical exam will be combat heavy. That's a problem. That's why he has plans. When life deals you a set of crap cards, you gotta have some up your sleeve. The tap water stops running, and his mother puts the last plate to the shelf. Both of them wipe their hands on the towel in a comfortable, if a tad heavy, silence. Dessert, his mother suggests, with an ever-present smile. They sit on the couch with a tub of matcha ice cream in hand. Initially, Izuku had planned to cut down his sugar and stuff, but his mother quickly shut that idea down. You're going to be stronger and healthier, his mother had said, not skinnier. The past 9 months have been nothing but proteins and carbohydrates, and Izuku doesn't think he's ever been fitter. He's taller than his mom, now, to his surprise, and his mom had mentioned him needing to shop for new clothes because they don't exactly fit anymore. He had to go through thorough medical checkup to apply for UA, so that's one less thing to worry about. It was a surprise, but he supposes it makes sense, though it's a hesitant thought. Though he wonders what happens to applicants with some sort of medical needs. Would UA accept them? Long ago, before quirks manifested, there used to be limitations on people in certain careers, military, medical career, even common careers, problematic limitations for people with mental and physical disability. Now, 2 centuries later, with quirks, it only got a lot more complicated. Complicated, and no less problematic. See, U.A has always been Izuku's dream. U.A, first-ranked hero academy in Japan, third in the world. Maybe it's a form of idolatry on his part. A wistful thinking, definitely. U.A, in a way, is a manifestation of Izuku's worth, like Kaken. If he ever stand equal to Kaken. If Izuku ever gets in U.A, the school that taught All Might, the #1 hero, and everything Izuku wishes for. Izuku is no longer a child. Not exactly. Dreams don't work like that. Getting into U.A won't solve his issues. But maybe. If he does this, if somehow he does this and gets into U.A, then maybe Izuku does have worth. Maybe Izuku is good enough. His therapist would say this is a toxic way of thinking, which is why Izuku never tells her this. Not yet, anyway. Maybe one of these days if his sessions get extended, and with the strain it puts on his mom's bank account, he doesn't think so. So, Inko says, as an old rerun of Detective Conan Season 13 of Detective Conan, the 22nd Century remake, plays in the background, how's your little project going? Izuku smiles, a genuine one. Oh, he scoops a spoonful of ice cream. It's going all right. Inko smiles around her spoon. The 15th prototype test? Yes, fine, you were right. Izuku rolls his eyes fondly. Ceramic core works much better than chrome. Still has the issue of containing the electromagnetic field, though. Inko points a spoon at him. Do not test it when I'm not home. Izuku throws his hands up in exasperation. Mom, he swears he isn't whining. He isn't. That was one time. Inko sniffs, but her eyes are shining with mirth. That was my favorite doormat. Yes, I'm sorry. Izuku rubs the back of his neck sheepishly. It was a bad idea. Not sure if it'll be ready by the exam, though. He isn't positive that he is going to be able to use it without charring his arm to bits. Yet. Or. Ever. But it's really cool, isn't it? It's really cool, Izuku agrees. We should binge Star Wars again. We will when you pass the entrance exam. Izuku looks at his mom, but she isn't looking at him. She said it so casually. Eyes still at Shinichi Kudo, who is now monologuing about some absurd theorem of murder weapons and culprit motives. She said it like it's an absolute certainty. If anything else, if not for whatever comes in the future, if it's not to salvage whatever semblance of childhood dream or messed up self-worth or a buried down, charring contempt Izuku keeps shut far in the dark pit of his heart, if it's not for a single one of those things. Izuku is doing this for her. For the both of them. Because it's always the two of them. It's always only been the two of them versus the world. Mom, Izuku says and stops. His throat feels tight. Don't. Inko is still not looking at him. Son, if you start crying, then I'll start crying, and I want to finish this ice cream. Okay. Izuku laughs, wiping the wetness of his eyes away with his sleeve. The day of his U.A entrance exam, Izuku kinda wants to die more than usual. This was a bad idea. Izuku tells his mom as she passes him his miso soup. He does not feel hungry at all. He does not feel like existing at all. This was a terrible idea. What was I thinking? Mom, what was I thinking? Hush, Inko says, finish your rice. Okay. And so it begins. It'd be bad luck if you tripped, right? Whatever her quirk is, emitter, a form of telekinesis, object manipulation, it rights Izuku's center of balance with a gentle tug. Both feet now touching the ground, Izuku blinks at her. Her smile is kind of blinding. Yurgheg, he says intelligently. Well, good luck? Yeah, she says, as if he had responded with human words. See ya. Izuku stares at her disappearing figure and thinks, wow. Apparently, it's possible to want to die more than he already had. What's another embarrassing instance keeping him awake at night for the rest of his life, anyway? Anyway, right. The entrance exam. Izuku wipes his sweaty palms down his pants. Not like it helps. Izuku has always been a nervous person. He's got a lot of tics, he thinks. His runny mouth, mostly, sometimes stutters. Shaking hands. Nausea. Right now, though, he actually thinks he is in hell. He's got to calm down. The breathing exercise, he reminds himself. Having those drilled to his head like crazy for the past 9 months has got to help. Breathe in, breathe out. It's okay. He is not doing anything stupid, no? This whole thing is totally not a mistake. Izuku grips the strap of his gym bag. He is here. He is doing this. Also, he's paid for the entrance exam, and he is not going to waste his mom's money. So yeah, there is that. The nice girl has disappeared into the building. Izuku, taking care not to trip off some pebble, follows suit. Izuku knows that U.A is loaded, but as he sits among the 10,000 applicants in the humongous hallroom, he thinks, this can't be right. I'm going to give you a lowdown on how this'll go. Are you ready? Izuku has never been ready for anything in his life, but at least he got to see present Mike himself and hear his Quirk in the flesh. The timbre of the hero's voice booms loud and clear, the vibrato bouncing around the tall ceilings with non-existent amplifier. Oh my god, that's present Mike. The one and only. Izuku listens to him on the radio every week, though he never actually managed to get even one call in due to the huge traffic of the show. His Quirk is powerful. Hearing it in person, the sheer volume of it reverberates down to Izuku's heart like bass notes through a sound system. Whoa, dude, you sure are a fan. Izuku starts, turning to find a student staring at him with a sort of amusement. Izuku blushes. He must have been mumbling again. Izuku hesitates. He pays careful attention to the boy before him, trying to assess if that was a derisive comment. A mockery, maybe. But before Izuku could decide, the student holds out a fist. I'm Kaminari Denki, by the way. Oh. Me. Midoriya, Izuku. He offers lamely like a normal person. Why do you say that like a question? The boy laughs, easy and friendly. And then, a tentative, dude, are you really gonna leave me hanging? Izuku looks down to see that he's still holding out his fist. Izuku realizes far too late that it's meant to be a fist bump. Later, Izuku realizes that this was his first ever fist bump. Wow, one embarrassing instance after another. He's on a roll. Sorry, Izuku says, balling out his hand in what he thinks is a good approximation of what a fist bump requires. I'm just kinda nervo, ouch. Shit, sorry, Kaminari says, seemingly as surprised as Izuku is. Someone shushes them. Sorry, Kaminari whispers loudly. Sorry, man, that happens a lot when I'm nervous. I give a lot of static, sorry. It's fine, Izuku says, though he waves his hand behind his back to shake the zing out, rubbing where their knuckles had touched. The zap was far stronger than a normal static touch. It kinda hurt, honestly, but he isn't about to tell Kaminari that. Was that? Your Quirk. Kaminari opens his mouth to answer, but someone shushes them again, someone from the front, so they both cringe grin at each other and stare out at the podium. Now pay close attention, listeners. Izuku can't help fanboying a little inside. Being addressed as listener when present Mike is right there? Unparalleled. We'll be testing your mettle by running a 10-minute practice run at our replica city district. You can take whatever you want with you. There it is. He sneaks a glance at Kaminari. Kaminari doesn't bring anything with him, but the same can't be said with other students, and Izuku. Izuku's seen the others carrying backpacks and cases that can't be anything other than some kind of support items. For their quirks, mostly, Izuku would guess. Or just some kind of boost. He's checked the rulebook obsessively, and even made some nerve-wracking phone calls. Weapons are a go. Izuku is rarely ever lucky, but he thinks of this one as a blessing. Not that the weapons would help Izuku much. Stop, Izuku chastises himself. This is no time for self-deprecating crap. Geez, everyone sure is dead, though? Kinda feel bad for him. The boy, Kaminari, nods at the faraway stage. The entire stadium is silent, despite Present Mix being master of ceremony. The rest of the students are apparently either too tense or too serious to treat this as some kind of a fun thing. The hero is still valiantly trying to hype them up, though. Can't blame them. I'm pretty anxious too. Izuku notices that Kaminari has been jittering for a while. His foot can't seem to stop tapping down the floor in a rapid beat. Kaminari is literally buzzing with energy. Izuku's throat feels dry. Nervous is an understatement. He thinks his heart is just going to drop to his socks at any moment. Me too, Izuku says. Head to the specified battle center, okay? Izuku checks the assigned paper as if he hasn't memorized the content already. Examinee number 2234, Battle Center B. His own face smiles unsurely at him from the awkward, emblem school photo. 7 battle locations. That's what, roughly 1.400 kids per ground. The paper creases under Izuku's thumb. That's still a lot. Impossible, even. They must have separated kids from the same school to different grounds. Izuku hasn't seen Kaken. Has he caught that flash of familiar blonde hair amidst the mass of applicants? No, Izuku would have known. Kaken has always been the first person Izuku set his eyes to in any and every room. Whenever, wherever. By some lucky stars, they haven't bumped into each other, and maybe they won't here. The thought grows deep in his chest as a cold, uneasy relief. After it, and just as cold, shame. Shame, because Izuku knows he can't handle seeing Kaken, can't handle taking another one of his jabs, figurative and literally. Since that day, they haven't really talked to each other, but Kaken's message was clear. He sure as hell wouldn't be happy seeing Izuku here. No time to think about it. He's got more important things to think about, like 3 different types of faux villains are stationed in each battle center. Like that. Your goal, listeners, is to use your quirks to earn points by immobilizing the faux villains. See, much more important things. Use your quirks. What does that mean? What does that entail? Izuku feels cold sweat pricks the back of his neck. Who's he fooling? He knows exactly what that means. Just as he thought, then. The practical exam will favor entirely on the heavy hitters. Quirk heavy, of course. A student from the front is asking questions to present Mike. Despite the air conditioning, Izuku is sweating like crazy. He tries to calm his beating heart down to listen. Something about the 4th villain. All right. Izuku's almost missed it. Panicking always makes him miss things. Not good. We examinees are here in this place because we wish to be molded into exemplary heroes. Damn. Beside him, Kaminari whispers, that dude is intense. And you two over there. Despite not using any mic, the student, a tall guy in impeccable private school uniform, manages to somehow speak loud enough. Head turns all around, and with a sense of mortification, he realizes that the tall student is referring to Izuku. Izuku and Kaminari, precisely. Ah, man. Kaminari mumbles beside him. You two have been talking this whole time. It's distracting. If you're here to have fun, then just leave immediately. Ah, man. Kaminari says for the 2nd time. Izuku just wishes he were born as a tree. Okay. Examinee number 7111. Thanks for the great message, though. Anywho, the 4th type of villain is worth 0 points. Honestly, not much explanation. For villains, from the looks of it, Izuku would guess some kind of machinery. Battle bots. Mobile or immobile. Armed or. From the sheer size of the faux city, that can't be right. But this is U.A, after all. Izuku is starting to think, uneasily, that everything is possible here. It's impossible to defeat, but there is no reason to defeat it either. A pause, as Present Mike smiles to the mass. The stage lights above showers him with a surreal luminosity. I recommend that you listeners try to avoid it, yeah? The whole thing is like a game, Izuku thinks. Points, obstacles. Like a video game. The thing is, Izuku has never been a winner. The hero Napoleon Bonaparte once said, a true hero is someone who overcomes life's misfortunes. Izuku would do anything, though, right? Whatever it takes. An arm, a leg. You won't fail, his mom had said. And what had Izuku said that day to Tashinori-san? I'm going to UA. I'm going to be a hero, right? Whatever it takes. Plus Ultra. Once again, Izuku thinks, this can't be right. This can't be right, Izuku mutters. What can't? Huh? Izuku starts. Oh, Kaminari-kun, you're in Block B too. Right, he hadn't asked. Izuku was all too wrapped up in his head and had split immediately. Was that rude? He kinda regrets it now. Yeah. He looks nervous, foot tapping on the ground, hands balled at his sides. Not like Izuku is in a better shape. But damn, dude. This place is huge. Right? They have more than one of these in the school grounds? How did they even get these authorized? How does the school tax even work? He knows U.A is the epitome of elite, but this is downright ridiculous. It can't be right. 10-minute mock urban battle. 10-minute. He looks around. He was right. A large portion of the kids utilize some kind of support item or suit. They look strong, Izuku notes with nauseating anxiety. They look strong and competent, like they belong here. They look like heroes. Izuku cringes. What is Izuku doing here? 10-minute. It'll be a free-for-all. He has to beat all of these other kids, somehow. More than 10,000 people apply to U.A each year, right? He just has to be the one in 300. He could laugh, but he kinda wants to throw up right now. Don't panic. Don't panic. If he panics, he'll mess up and it'll all be over and he'll go home to his mom empty-handed. And that's if he even goes home after all. He's panicking. Damn, why does everyone have a support item? Even you, Midoriya. Huh. Midoriya looks down to his utility belt and his gym bag slung over his shoulders like a backpack. It's a comforting weight, and he's carried it with him enough that it wouldn't slow him down much. These. Yeah, my Quirk needs some support items. And these are just, common safety glasses. They're not even new, all scratched up that they are. These are the same worn-out goggles that he uses all the time tinkering with stuff. I just like to be prepared, you know? As if he is prepared at all at the moment. I feel like I'm the kid who didn't bring a pencil or something. Kaminari doesn't look that distressed, but Izuku doesn't mistake the cold sweat dripping on the other guy's forehead. Izuku isn't very good at motivating people, or talking to people at that matter, but don't worry, he tries. You'll be fine, unlike Izuku. After all, the exam favors combatant-heavy Quirk. And if the villains are what Izuku suspects they are, then… that's the girl from the front of the gates. Izuku winces at the memory, but she was nice enough. Maybe he should go wish her luck, right? She looks kind of worried. What are you doing? Someone says from behind. What really starts him, though, is the foreign hand on Izuku's shoulder. Izuku turns. And then, that girl appears to be trying to focus. Are you here merely to interfere with everyone else? Izuku's head blanks out. Blurge, he offers. Hey, dude. Kaminari frowns, moving to stand beside Izuku. The student, the tall guy who had berated them at the hall, towers above Kaminari, but it doesn't seem to deter him. Not cool. That's all right. Izuku cuts in. The idea of someone else standing up for him is pleasantly very surprising, but startlingly uncomfortable, somehow. It's okay, Kaminari-kun. He turns to the tall student. His figure is stoic, eyes hard behind his glasses. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The other applicants are looking. He can feel the eyes staring at him. He can almost hear the mockery. The offhand, derisive comments. Kakin isn't here. Kakin isn't here. Under the tall student's cold eyes and the stares and everything that's happened today, it's getting more and more obvious that this was a mistake. That Izuku doesn't have a place here. Around these people that actually have powers that look like the main characters in a superhero story. And Izuku is just Izuku, isn't he? And he just isn't supposed to be here. Present Mick's voice booms over the arena. What are you waiting for? And then the exam begins. Not only is it a free-for-all, it's a straight-up buffet. Physically, Izuku is in good shape. The fittest he's ever been. His stamina is all right, his strength is okay, and he's been told that he is fast and slippery. Here, Izuku sees now that none of that means anything. The other applicants are rushing to the battlefield, sinking claws and teeth on the first villains they see, and those with destructive quirks just blast through them like a breeze. Izuku, for a hopeless moment, can only stare at their backs from afar. The blatant metaphor is almost hilarious. Izuku has always been behind, always has the odds stacked up against him. The tall student from before has some sort of a speed quirk, fuming engine embedded in the calves of his leg. His speed is incredible as he tramples one bot to the other. There is an applicant with laser beam quirk, another with strength enhancer quirk, and his eyes catch the nice girl that helped him from before, the one with the object manipulation quirk. She touches the bots and they float as if weightless, feet above the ground, even though they are at least 5 times her size. Release, she commands, and the bots crash down with great force. Izuku's head spin. None of this feels real, yet this is the realest thing he's ever encountered, a straight-up slap to his face. What made him think that he could ever stood a chance? The difference is stark, astronomical. There are other applicants like him too, who can only stand by the sidelines and watch as the villain bots are smashed to bits one by one. 9 months of training, and for what? He wonders, in half awe and acid, hammering self-deprecation. 9 months of blood and sweat and tears, and his mother smiles. And for what? It doesn't matter how many times he does push-ups. Doesn't matter how fast he can run or how hard he can punch, because someone will always be better than him. Someone will always be stronger and worthy, and he's just him. He's just Deku. He's just. If you want to be a hero that badly, there is a quick way to do it. Stop. 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 He wants to throw up. He forces the bile down. Stop. He has to stop panicking. When he panics, he screws everything up. Everything. And he can't afford to do that. He can't. So stop. He's got to stop. Don't think about it. What? Is he just going to stand there and watch and feel bad about himself? Spiral into another self-pity fest? Thinking about how unfair things are? You are not going to fail. Things are not fair. He should have gotten over it already. Okay. Izuku looks at his wristwatch. He's wasted a minute. All right. 9 minutes left. He has to be that 1 in 300. No matter what, right? Right. Think. He has to think. 3 villain bots minus the 1-pointer. And these are bots. 2, maybe 2.5 meters tall. Military grade? No, there is no way those are lethal. Despite its military design, it has got no artillery. Auto machine gun. The 1-pointer and 2-pointers got better mobility, but less defense. The 3-pointer is clearly more long-range with caterpillar tracks and built like a tank. Seems like U.A does not trade quality for quantity. The streets truly look like battlefields, utter chaos. He's running out of time and out of villain bots. What are his options? Think. This is a test. He isn't provided the number or the location of the enemy. Limited amount of time, too. This test is about weeding out the students. Think. What do they want? What are his options? He's quick, but his mobility is nothing compared to Quirk combatant applicants. Pure combat ability is out of the question. His only options are to stay calm. Stay calm and understand the situation. Understand his situation. He knows what to do. Or rather, he thinks he has some kind of idea of what he has to do. He has a hypothesis that he has to test out. So he's got to find the test subject, hasn't he? Izuku opens the compartments of his utility belt and starts to do his job. And then he runs. If there is no place for Izuku here, then he just has to do what he does best. He is going to make one. The bots seem to be placed randomly throughout the nooks and crannies of the artificial city. They have to be lured out, possibly, or activated. The ones in the big streets are either already reduced to rubble or are being fought over. Izuku has to be fast. Come on. Come on. His feet skids over to another street, and an explosion nearly trips him over. The building right across of him cracks and bursts open in a shower of dust and debris. Izuku reels. Despite knowing Kaken since he were 4, Izuku has never seen an explosion in this big of a scale, and it's overwhelmingly disorienting. The smoke billows out, no longer obscuring Izuku's view. Izuku isn't sure if this is a lucky or an unlucky occurrence. A bot, a 1-pointer, but Izuku always takes what he can. Target acquired. I'll kill you. It grounds out through its speaker. All right, a little PG-13 there. Don't panic. Think. He can't help but feel a little impressed, and something else. All these facilities just for the entrance exam? Izuku saves this line of thought for later introspection. An army of bots, counting all the 7 battle centers, but not enough. Not for thousands of students battling for a seat in the hero course. So, U.A can afford an army of BattleBot, sure, but there is no way it can afford an army of AI. What Izuku think is this: these robots can't think for themselves. They are just commands coded in, programmed, and predictable movement and attacks all embedded in unpiloted metal and gears. Brute force isn't an option, but maybe, hypothetically, he doesn't need brute force here. See, it's as simple as this. Take away the wiring, and this is just a heap of metal, isn't it? All right, Izuku says, all right. See, come on, you big thing. Great, a superhero quipping there. And then Izuku rolls away as the bot begins to attack. Its figure might be imposing, looking like a murder robot and all, but its movement is direct and simple and very predictable. Dodging it isn't easy, though, especially when you are trying to build a device off scraps you have in your fanny pack that you think will solve your issues. That's what Izuku is doing right now. He kind of relies on pure instinct and reflex as he skids to avoid its firing. Please work, he prays, as he wraps a copper coil on a spark gap, ducking behind a chunk of debris for coverage. Please work. What was it that he thought before? That it's like a game? Izuku tries not to think what would happen if he got hit. The ammo is harmless, he is sure, but if he gets thrown one of the huge chunks of debris, he's done for. Unlike a game, here he can get killed. Target acquired. I'll kill you. Oh, shut up. Last rap. And a tape. Because cellotape is the greatest invention of human race. Wrapped around his worn-out Bakken that now looks more like some kind of wand stick with ugly wires taped to it. Please work, don't panic. Don't panic. If he panics, he messes up. If he panics, he can't think, and he maybe doesn't need brute force, but Izuku has to think. Please work, please work, please work. Oh God, Gadangedal. He doesn't have all the materials, so he has to improvise, but hypothetically, it should work. Hypothetically. And then Izuku runs towards the bot. That's the thing with bots. It only does things that it's programmed to. It only responds to a series of commands that it recognizes. Facing an unprecedented scenario, such as an incredibly stupid 15-year-old waving a wooden stick at it head first, always results in a split, confused second before the failsafe command kicks in. In that split second, Izuku runs. He gets as close as possible to the bot and fires up the wiring on his previously Bacchanal wand stick with his pocket taser. Please work, he says, pointing his invention stick at the vague direction of the one-pointer. Target acquired. What the hell, that's mine. I got to it first. What? Yours? Did your grandma own you.A or something? Huh, did she? Hey, don't bring my grandma into this. 13 points I got. 5. I only got 5, Fuck. Dude, find your own bot. Damn it, this one is mine. Eat my entire ass. I said don't bring my grandma into this, you son of a... Dinky knows that just like him, these people just graduated middle school. But like this, on a literal battlefield, and in a literal, though fake, burning city, the worst of humanity truly is a sight to behold. This is like Battle Royale meets Transformers or something. Amidst the chaos, though, he sees a small figure running towards them from far. Is that Midoriya? It is. He looks a bit messed up, his hair somehow messier than before, and his eyes a bit wild staring out of those safety glasses. Denki figures they all look a bit crazy at the moment, though, so that's fair. Midoriya still has his bag strapped to his back, but he's holding something in his hand, a wooden sword of sort, a Bakken, or a stick, with something taped on it. Or maybe Denki is imagining things, because his brain is near malfunctioning right now. But he is pretty sure Midoriya is running to him. Hey, Midoriya, Denki says, though his tongue feels a little heavy. What's up? Oh, look, there are still some villains left. From the end of the street, some applicants stumble from a building fighting off the bots. Midoriya is panting a little from his running, and his eyes look even wilder than it did from afar. And then he says, your quirk is emitter and you can generate electricity, yes or no? A pause. And then, slowly, Denki says, Wah? Kaminari-kun, we have less than 4 minutes left. Yes or no? Yeah, Denki says, confused. But why? Do you want to team up? Denki blinks. Wow. How many points have you accumulated? The words are fired in rapid shots, and it takes a long second for Denki to process them. Wow, what? How many points have you accumulated? Midoriya insists. 28, Denki says, and as he says it, he realizes that he is exhausted. It's not just Midoriya speaking inhumanely fast, it's also Denki's brain this close to getting fried. The familiar throbbing at the back of his head is now progressing to something more than just a migraine. I don't think I can do more, to be honest. Yes, you can. Blinks. What? He says for the umpteenth time. Yes, you can, Midoriya repeats, and Denki looks to his hand. Or rather, the stick sword thing in Midoriya's hand. Will you? Now, Denki's head isn't in its optimum processing capabilities at the moment, but it doesn't take him long to recognize what that is. From up close, he realizes that the thing taped on it is a circuit. Dude, Denki says in confused awe. The gears in his head are slowly kicking to work as he comprehends what he is seeing. Did you just make this? I tested it, and it worked, but for greater range it needs greater current, and I can't afford that right now, and you are the closest thing to an electricity generator around here, and Denki isn't capable to comprehend that many words in that short amount of time, so he just says, how the hell did you know how to make an EMP generator sword? Midoriya blinks. I don't. I mean, I didn't. I just winged it on the fly, kinda. And I wouldn't say it's an EMP generator sword. It's just attached to the sword, and because I needed an insulator, and I figured the Bakken would work fine, but anyway you see Midoriya, Denki says slowly. Are you telling me you just learned to make an EMP in 5 minutes just now? And from the looks like it, the hasty wiring and the Frankenstein heaps of screws and wires and spark gaps. And is that a makeshift capacitor? Did this guy make an EMP generator from scratch? Electronic magnetic pulse. Of course, he didn't even think about it. And Denki is the one with electricity quirk here, damn it. Goddamn, that's brilliant. Kaminari-kun. A note of panic and exasperation in Midoriya's voice. We are wasting time. So will you, or will you not? Hell yeah, Denki says. Give me the EMP sword. It's not a sword, but he hands it over anyway. And then he blurts, I only have 3 points. I don't know how the points off this would work between the two of us. If this would work at all, but I'm stumped, and, well. Got it, Denki says. He's not sure if he does get it, but he kind of gets the gist, and he wants to do it anyway. Denki doesn't have a good handle on the output of his quirk. He takes a deep breath and carefully holds the handle with one hand and the wiring with another, and carefully, very carefully, because he doesn't want to destroy all electronic devices in the whole region, reaches to his quirk and pushes. There is a moment of utter silence before a loud, resounding thump. The villain bot from at the end of the street just fell and died. It's a 3-pointer. Around them, the remaining villain bots follow suit, the light in its head shutting down as if by a switch. Far, in several places out in the faux city, loud thumps are reverberating throughout. The radius of the EMP must have reached out that far. Confusion slowly erupts from the other applicants. What the hell? Is the exam over? Someone says. Hey, we still got a minute left. Denki feels like his vision is starting to show more colors than there are colors in the world, but he says, holy shit. It works, Midoriya says, like he doesn't believe it, reeling. Denki's head is this close to be jellified, but he manages enough brain cells to put a thumb up. His other hand shoves the Bakken back to Midoriya's chest. Midoriya takes it, still in disbelief, seemingly. Fuck yeah, it does, Denki says. Dude, that was sick. We are the best team up after Pash and Akachu. Midoriya stares. You mean Ash and Pikachu? Denki blinks. What? Midoriya blinks back. What? 1 minute left, Present Mike says, and then they hear a loud, terrible sound as the ground beneath them begins to tremble. For a moment, underneath the haze of the aftermath of his quirk, Denki doesn't really know what's going on. And then he's being pulled. The 0-pointer, Midoriya yells so his voice is above the sudden noise, his hands pulling Denki's. Kaminari-kun, we gotta run. The 0-pointer is gigantic. Izuku just realizes that he has never really known the true meaning of the word before. It must be 12 stories, 15 stories high. It towers above them, blocking out the sun, and what the hell? Izuku almost can't believe what he sees, the size of that thing, God. The damage that it causes, that it will cause, and it's coming right at them. President Mike had recommended them to stay away from it. The zero-pointer. We gotta run, Kaminari-kun. Kaminari looks like he's gonna pass out. Quirk overuse, Izuku realizes, with a flare of panic. Around them, the other applicants are just as stunned, staring at the giant actual villain bot looming above them all like some sort of monster. That can't be right? There is no way Udade would. Its 5 LED lights shine a few wattage higher before it smashes down to the ground with a force so powerful the buildings around them reverberate with it and blocks of concrete crumble down the sky. Smoke and dust and debris booms around them, and Izuku hears someone, several someones, scream. Shit, Izuku says weakly, half hysteric. His legs feel like jelly under him. That's overkill, isn't it? A beat, and then the main street is rushed as the other applicants start running. Shit. They have to go now. Kaminari still looks lost beside him, so Izuku starts to drag Kaminari's hand and begins to run when he hears it, a whimper. It's weak, but unmistakable. There is a person under the rubble. Someone got buried from the falling debris. In a stupid second, Izuku stops and looks back. His safety goggles, though cracked now, spares him his vision as the smoke billows out, and he sees her. A mop of brown hair. She got her legs stuck under. She looks like she is in pain. She looks like she is going to cry. Don't panic. Izuku doesn't panic. He looks at his Bakken. It's fallen to the ground somewhere between all the frenzy. The circuits are all completely fried. The capacitor couldn't handle Kaminari's quirk, unsurprisingly. He's only got one option left. One stupid option. Kaminari-kun, run. The boy stares back at him with confusion, but Izuku isn't paying attention. He unzips his bag with force and urgency. This is stupid. So stupid. His mom wouldn't be proud of him. Do not test it when I'm not home, she'd said. Well, she's at work, so she isn't home, but technically Izuku isn't home either. Loophole. Huh, he thinks and winces. That's not funny. Sorry, Mom. All right, this is stupid. He is probably going to die, or lose an arm, or a leg, whatever it takes, right? He lets his bag drop to the ground. He's never tried this before. He just brought these as a precaution, but he didn't really have any intention to use them. He is going to kill him. That's it. What was it, that line of thought? It's a game. It's like a game. The villain bots are stock monsters. The zero-pointer is the final boss that won't give you any points. Inventory. Hit points. Lives. It's a game, except that it's going to get him killed. Like a domino, it all falls and clicks in Izuku's head with pinpoint, gentle precision. That's it. Izuku has never been a winner. Izuku has always been so much better at losing. And that's the thing about losing, isn't it? He just has to try again. He just has to keep trying. And Izuku has unlimited lives, so isn't that just perfect? The universe has always loved to mess with him. Please work. Izuku says it like a prayer and shoots the grappling hook. It hits, but too far off from his target, a point at the outside of the building closest to the bot. In a frenzy, Izuku tries again for the second time. By some miracle, the second hook lodges itself harshly to near Izuku's target. This is it. The cord is tight with tension. This is it. Izuku pulls and launches. Momentum, gravity, all laws of physics are all smashed out of his head as he soars through the air in what seems like a dream. The world blurs around him, and Izuku almost convinces himself that none of this is real. That there is no way he just did that. There is no way he just recklessly used his homemade, dangerous invention that he never even tried before and launches himself to the sky to murder a giant robot. The impact hits him like a brick wall, and then he realizes that he literally hits a brick wall. Adrenaline rushes through him in a drunken, dizzying intensity. Distantly, he can feel his fingers gripping the wire for dear life. Izuku stares to the giant red eyes of the villain bot. The sheer size of it is overwhelming up close. Even the head is at least 2 or 3 times Izuku's height. Izuku can't even comprehend that he himself is feet above ground, right now hanging literally by a thread. The adrenaline and the shot of pure, sheer disbelief makes it all seem surreal. Izuku brandishes the 16th prototype. He doesn't know if he can make a jump. His feet find purchase on a windowsill. He has to make the jump, so he jumps. A click, the butane propeller clicks in and the fuel valve opens and the blade of the prototype burns. Plasma burns along the edge of the katana within the Lorenz force, casting its reflection in green from the boric acid in its fuel, turning the heat up to give or take 35.000 degrees Celsius at best. It's not a lightsaber, per se, but it's the next closest thing that he can make. The magnetic field isn't going to last long, though, so Izuku has to do this now, or he'll risk either A, getting smacked down by a giant robot, or B, having the whole prototype explode due to some not-so-unforeseen miscalculation, or C, all of the above. Izuku either has to destroy the bot's power source, its controller, or does enough damage to afflict all of its sensors. But right now, 15 stories up the air holding a questionable makeshift plasma katana and breaking every single safety regulations his mother and any educational institutions have ever taught him, Izuku doesn't exactly have the luxuries of logical planning. So he just has to see how much damage this thing can really make. Facing the LED eyes of the one-pointer, Izuku swings and pushes with everything that he has. Every single thing that he has. Sparks explode to his vision and Izuku hears the bot groans a long-suffering sigh as it creaks, and then he hears more explosions. His ears ring so loudly that it hurts, and then he's deaf. Izuku must have hit a crucial component, somehow, by pure luck. He really is on a roll today. His arms shake with the force he has to maintain, holding the hilt of the katana. This time not with the intent to damage, but with the sheer unadulterated instinct to hang on for dear life. He can't hear anything but the tremor is unmistakable, and Izuku knows it's coming, but when the loss of gravity catches up to him, he finds himself dumbfounded. And then he thinks, holy shit, I did it. He did it. And then he falls. Here is the thing about falling. Nothing can prepare you to how long it takes. All the waxed poetry about how everything slows down in that one moment, Izuku has found out 9 months ago, is true. Everything slows down in this one moment. The buildings blur around him, and the sky is so blue. Izuku thinks he is dreaming. He must be dreaming. He's dreamt of this so many times, after all, of this single sensation of falling. He's dreamt of the school's roof, the edge of the ledge, the moments building up to it. Kaken's smile and Kaken's laughter and Izuku's shaking hand as he writes I'm sorry before scrapping the paper out, because Izuku is too much of a coward to come up with a suicide note. He's dreamed of it, so many times, the blinding, satisfying pain, the rush of regret, so much regret, and then the relief. And then, finally, the abrupt stop. He's dreamt about it, about stopping to exist. It's the one thing he can't seem to stop dreaming about, aside from the jumping part. Everything stops. No, everything actually stops. Izuku has stopped falling. He is suspended midair. Someone is touching his hand. He looks and sees the nice girl, no longer buried under, now, floating on a chunk of concrete with an arm reached out to him. Her face is covered with dust, and she still looks like she is in pain. And then they land to the ground like a feather. Izuku stares, uncomprehending. Around him, it looks like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The one-pointer still stands, frozen still amidst its malfunction, like a giant statue of property damage. The air smells familiar. It reeks of smoke and ash and crisply burnt circuits. Izuku realizes with a start that his hands feels like they are burning. He looks down. His gloves have been burnt away, leaving raw, red gashes on his palm. His prototype really did explode, then. The pain is unbearable. The girl climbs down the concrete with effort, half crawling as she is visibly relying mostly on her hands. She stands for a short second before crumbling down. Her legs must be unable to take the weight. Her knees are all messed up and bleeding, shaking although she is crumpled on the ground, panting. They are both on the ground. She says something. Izuku is still deaf from all the explosions, but he can read her lips somewhat. I'm going to throw up, she tells him. Oh. Izuku can't hear himself either, but he responds anyway. I'm going to have a panic attack, he tells her. And then they both do exactly that. It might not seem like it, but Shinso Hitoshi is not an optimist. The manager looks up to him from the student card she's holding, and then she looks back at the card, and then back at him, longer this time, with an added squint, and then back at the card again. Hitoshi insists on keeping his smile on. He tries his best, but his smile does not seem to help things. Granted, he lacks practice. You are 17 years old, she finally says. Smile. Yep, he lies. Rokugo Industrial High School. Yep, he lies again. It's the only high school in the prefecture whose document layout is available HD on the internet. With a bit of Photoshop, a printer, and laminated paper, Hitoshi has successfully obtained himself an illegal student card. A pause. Hitoshi's smile is starting to hurt his cheeks. Okay, she says. I need to file this in. You get the weekend shift. There is not much of himself that Hitoshi particularly likes, but for this once, he's glad he's tall for a 15-year-old. 177 centimeters this coming spring. Can I get the night shift too? She raises an eyebrow. Smile. I kinda need the money, not a lie. Something in her face softens when she hears this. Or maybe Hitoshi is just being too optimistic. People aren't often soft on someone like him. He looks too intimidating. Students have a legal limit of 16 work hours per week, she says. Plus, trust me when I say you're gonna get sick of this job soon. Worth a try? So Hitoshi's got to find another job after all. Right, he says. You've worked retail before? No. He's done F&B, though, which was one of the worst experiences in his life. All right, first rule. If a villain tries to rob the cashier, you do as they say. Hitoshi blinks. She raises an eyebrow. Hitoshi realizes she demands a response. Right, Hitoshi acquiesces. Second rule. She points her finger to the direction of the clear glass windows, to outside the street. It's an okay neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but definitely safe. Hitoshi was lucky to get a cheap rent around here. If you see kids playing by the street, you tell them to piss off or they get creamed by a truck. Got it. Hitoshi blinks. Right. Should be easy enough. All right then, she says. Get to work, newbie. His manager, Tagawa-san, mostly leaves him to his devices, and vice versa. She is mildly annoying, but mostly tolerable. If you swipe some alcohol, I'd know. I won't. If you swipe some dirty magazines. I won't. Mostly. Customers, Hitoshi sincerely believes, is the most fucked up thing ever invented. He's dealt with them from his previous, and also technically illegal, given his being a minor, stint at a McDonald's on the shittier part of town. He still has nightmares of counting spare changes, and that fucking oven beep. Sometimes Hitoshi looks at a 500 yen coin or smells a French fry and gets a nasty flashback. Such is his life. This is better. Working at a convenience store, that is. At least he won't be smelling the grease of chicken wings while getting yelled at by a middle-aged man wearing Crocs. Plus, no oven and fryer heat. The air conditioner is nice, too. Good for his lungs and sanity. He thinks his chance of contracting cancer is lower by 5% now. Maybe 5.5. Hi, welcome, Hitoshi smiles. His cheeks fucking hurt. He hopes he still has some spare patches. Unlike most customers who treat retail workers like they don't exist, this lady catches his eyes with her own and smiles. It startles Hitoshi a bit, not in a bad way. She finds her way to the hygiene section. Hitoshi glances at his watch. It's cheap, old, and secondhand, but it still works. He thinks the crack adds character. Anyway, still 3 hours until clocking out. He massages his aching cheeks idly. You think I wouldn't notice? Hitoshi startles. He looks. Tagawa-san stares at him. He stares at her. And then they both stare at the algebra study book Hitoshi stuffs underneath the desk. To be fair, it is indeed not a very good disguise. Hitoshi hasn't made any mistakes, much, this past week, so he still gets a few strikes, right? To his surprise, Tagawa-san just scoffs. At least it's not a dirty mag, she says, and then she heads to the hygiene section. That's a surprise. He thought of her as the strict type, but she's actually pretty lenient, huh? He eyes the convex mirror at the corner of the ceiling. Tagawa-san is talking to the lady customer from before. Maybe she's a regular. She's short, shorter than Tagawa-san, and Tagawa-san is shorter than him. Or he's just tall. They're talking low and quietly, he can't really catch it. Well, none of his business. He returns to his algebra. If he doesn't memorize these formulas soon, he's fucked by the entrance exam. Hello. Hitoshi looks up and smiles automatically. Customer service magic. Hello. He looks at the items placed and starts scanning them. Shampoo, conditioner, pads, banana ice cream. He likes this brand. Some chocolate bars, the ones with All Might icons on the packets. Anything else, ma'am? She's even shorter up close. Her hair, Hitoshi notices, shines iridescent green under the light. No, thank you. Hitoshi hates this part, but he has to say it. Do you have a membership card? No one ever fucking has a membership card. No, thank you. See. Would you like to sign up for a membership card? No one ever fucking signs up for a membership card. No, thank you. See. Money exchanged. She brought her own bag. Keep the change, she tells him, and smiles, and even looks at him in the eye for the second time. Hitoshi is slightly flustered. She looks like she's kind, he guesses. Thank you, have a nice day. The next customer that comes in complains that they don't have Shounen Jump for 10 minutes straight. That alone has eradicated all of Hitoshi's functioning brain cells. When the customer's left, he looks back at his algebra and thinks, fuck. He isn't going to memorize these fucking formulas. He isn't going to get into UA. He's going to work as a retail cashier for the rest of his sad, miserable life. His dad was right. He's going to die alone and alcoholic, with prostate cancer stadium fucking 3. Still studying? Hitoshi looks up. Before he opens his mouth, Tagawa continues, arms folded. Getting ready for the entrance exam? Yee, what entrance exam? Wait, he's a fucking high schooler right now. What's his supposed high school again? Rokuda. Yes. He wouldn't be studying for an entrance exam because he is definitely not a 15-year-old with really bad understanding of algebra. She raises a brow. University. Next year is your entrance exam, right? Hitoshi blinks. Right. Right, no, yeah. Smooth. Got a plan for the future? Hitoshi stares at her. Yeah, well, he lies. I'll probably take engineering or something. Or something. Huh. It might not seem like it, but Shinzo Hitoshi is not an optimist. He supposes that he does have a lot of pessimism in him. Call it a bit of a trust issue. Call it insecurity. Call it growing up in a shithole. Call it an insistence that Shinzo Hitoshi is not a naive, dumbass, idiot motherfucker. But right now, mind going rapturously blank as the villain bot aims its gun at him. He thinks, holy fucking shit. Shinzo Hitoshi is a naive, dumbass, idiot motherfucker. He knows. He's always known. The difference is stark. Astronomical, even. It's a fucking landslide. All the fucking all-nighters, the bruises and the skinned knees, everything that he's done. Here, among all these true, genuine heroes to be, people who actually have a chance. People who were fucking born to do this. Who were born to be powerful, to be on the spotlight. All of Hitoshi's hard work, all the pain and the tears and the blood, none of that means anything. Life isn't fair. He thought he'd gotten over it a long time ago, but shit. Hitoshi laughs, a manic note. Shit. Maybe he's too much of an optimist after all. He isn't going to die alone, an alcoholic with prostate cancer stadium 3. He is going to die right fucking here, a tall-ass 15-year-old playing hero with Terminator-ass fucking. Fuck, he says, fuck it, he says again, and makes a run for it. Somewhere beside him, everywhere beside him, kids with powerful quirks wield their attacks with no care for the world. He's been paying attention to the one with some type of emitter behind him, actually, because if he's going to keep fucking doing that telekinesis bullshit, one of the buildings are going to drop on them all, and he. A loud boom. Hitoshi looks up in alarm to see concrete raining down the sky. See, he knew it was coming. He knew, and people like him, people like Hitoshi, he's nothing. He's just a fucking extra. A helpless civilian with a nasty, useless fucking quirk. He might as well be quirkless. Why did he ever think he could make it? How stupid. Did he really think he was better than this? He knows, he's always known, in his heart, that he never stood a chance. Not even once. Hitoshi has to make a run for it, or he'll die here. Stupid, useless, a throwaway collateral damage. His legs, though, won't fucking move. When Hitoshi wakes up, he doesn't know where the hell he is. It doesn't look like his dad's house, right? He moved out a few months back. But this doesn't look like his shitty rented place either. Too clean, too pristine, too fancy. Since when did he have a bedside table and an air con? He sits up, and migraine hits his head like a truck. Fuck, he groans. Language, someone says. It takes him a second to register the person, and his brain short-circuits when he does. Recovery girl, he says. And then he remembers where he is. Fuck, he says again. Language, she says again, sterner this time. He almost doesn't apologize. What's the point, anyway? He flunked the fucking exam. Did he pass out? Seriously? He fucking passed out like a loser? All those fucking algebra formulas, and he fucking passed out? Drink this. Dispirited and loathsome, he takes the glass of water with a muttered thanks. He doesn't deserve this fucking glass of water. He drinks the fucking glass of water. Good. Now, you have a concussion, so you have to rest. Take the rest of the day off, and the next couple of days after that too. You should be fine, but you have to take it easy. Are you listening to me? Yes, he lies. What time is this, even? The sky outside is still bright. He looks at his watch, and immediately says, Phew, hell, shit, god damn it all. It's broken beyond repair. It's not cracked anymore, it's just obliterated. He is not getting a new one. Take it off, recovery girl says, but she doesn't sound so stern anymore. The sharps could hurt you. He obeys. He puts the broken watch on the bedside table and doesn't look at it again. It hurts to look at the mangled thing. He bought that shit with his fucking McDonald paycheck. Fuck. Frustration coils in his chest, nasty and hot. With alarm, he realizes he's about to cry, which is just stupid. This is the worst, he says, his eyes embarrassingly hot. Recovery girl puts a sympathetic hand, not on his body, but on the blanket on top of him. You did your best, kid. Did he really? He doesn't know if that's even worse. If this is all his best can do. How long was I out? He pretends his voice doesn't crack. His cheeks flare with shame, but he can't help that. 10 minutes, she says. But you missed the rest of the exam. Great, he says, because he's such a loser that he got knocked out not 10 minutes in. You're in a recovery space set up near the arena. Rest for a while, and then you can go. A sharp pause. It takes Hitoshi a moment to realize that she's listening to her earpiece. Yes, she says, and Hitoshi notes that she sounds different, all of a sudden. Sharp, like a soldier. Yes, stay here, she tells him, and then she's gone. She's incredibly small, but she sure walks fast, Hitoshi thinks idly, as the door barges open almost immediately. He nearly drops the glass of water out of surprise. But the commotion takes his attention right away, enough that, he thinks, he can push his mental breakdown schedule to later. Recovery girl is back along with a couple of, medic, he thinks, and a tall guy in all black attire. They're wheeling a stretcher, and on it is a kid who can't be older than Hitoshi. His right arm looks nasty, red and fleshy all over, like it's been burnt. He's scratching on his own neck, gasping hysterically like he can't breathe. They place him on the bed on the other side of the room. He's having an attack, recovery girl says, urgency in her voice. He can't breathe. We have to give him room. Get a paper bag. Hurry. Call his guardian. The medic runs out of the room. Hitoshi has never seen anything like it, and he can't do anything but stare. He can't look away if he wants to. You can't look away from a car crash, no matter how terrible. Midoriya-kun, recovery girl's voice, impressively calm, loud yet gentle. Can you hear me? You're okay. The gasping, hitching breath is terrifying to hear. He looks like he is drowning, his face scrunched like he's in extreme pain. The room smells like gunpowder and something burnt. Distantly, and far too late, Hitoshi realizes that this boy must be another applicant. A student. Midoriya-kun, stay with me. Not if you can hear me. He can't hear you, the tinnitus. The medic returns with a paper bag. Hitoshi knows this one. He's memorized guidelines of helping victims in need. From theory, breathing out in panic results in loss of carbon dioxide from the blood, and breathing with a paper bag restores the lost CO2. Watching it in action, though, is another thing entirely. That's right, breathe in, breathe out. Count with me, 1, 2. Some time after, he manages to take his eye off the boy, With effort, you can't look away from a car crash, and by chance, he makes eye contact with the tall man in black. He can't explain it, but from that one look, Hitoshi knows immediately that this man is a pro hero. Something about him is familiar, but that's not it. He just knows. Pro heroes just have this something in the way they carry themselves, a self-assuredness, a solemn confidence. And this man in particular has a no-nonsense look about him. Hitoshi is the first to break eye contact. Good job. You're all right, kid. Keep breathing, come on. He doesn't know how long it lasts. 5 minutes, probably, but it feels like forever. The stuttering, suffering gasps, like every breath could be his last one. The counting. 1, 2, 3. It's uncomfortable. He feels uncomfortable. His stomach churns. He doesn't know why. Oh, come on, he does. But his belly revolts with nausea. Something about the scene is it's just so real and violent, somehow more violent than the battlefield he was in not half an hour ago. You okay? Hitoshi starts, almost in annoyance. What's up with these pro heroes popping out of nowhere? He looks at the tall man. He's got scarves around his neck, covering almost half of his face. The scarves must have been made from a specific material, from the way they deflect the light like that. Hitoshi knows this hero, he realizes. You're asking me? Hitoshi says, almost rudely. But it just seems unbelievable when you see the other guy. Literally. It's not a pretty sight, the pro hero says, flatly, matter-of-factly. He doesn't sound particularly sympathetic, nor comforting. Ideally, we prefer an empty room to handle something like this, but all the other wards are full. So there are other kids stuck on a medical bed like him too. Good to know. Well, he needs an answer? It's somehow annoying. I'm peachy, Hitoshi says. And he tries to look at the other guy. The boy is not breathing as terribly now, but he's deathly pale, eyes as wild as his hair. Under the light, the boy's hair glints iridescent green. Like the nice customer from the other day, Hitoshi's brain supplies the useless correlation. And then the boy heaves and throws up into the paper bag. Shit, Hitoshi says, as his stomach protests. And then he says, fuck, because there is something about human beings that when they see other human beings do some shit, they just reflexively feel inclined to correspond. Like yawning, and unfortunately, barfing. It's in their fucking nature. And Hitoshi knows this, from theory, too. Fucking sympathy vomiting. Here, the pro hero procures a paper bag from somewhere, a spare, maybe, and hands it to him. Thanks, Hitoshi says. I know who you are. You are Eraserhead, and I'm your biggest fucking fan. And then he, too, throws up into the paper bag. When he finishes barfing, he contemplates why the hell did he come to Udata just to get his ass kicked, his pride trashed, and his watch obliterated. Does this happen every year? He says, hoarsely, not expecting an answer. Yes, Eraserhead answers. He passes him a glass of water. That's fucked up, Hitoshi doesn't say. Thanks, he says instead. One of the medic enters the room. His mother will be here in 15 minutes. Good. The guy, Mito something, still has his face inside the plastic bag, but at least he doesn't look like he's going to die from asthma. His hands are shaking, though, shaking so hard that it's unnatural. Hitoshi never saw someone tremble so awfully that their whole body shakes with it. Hitoshi's stomach churns again, and he looks away. Suddenly, he feels awful for staring. It feels like an invasion of privacy. He can't stop himself from hearing, though. Midoriya-kun, I'm going to have to check your arm. Now, is that fine with you? For the next few minutes, Hitoshi just awkwardly stares at the ceiling, pretending to be one with the wall. He really can't be feeling bad about his stupid practical exam failure when he just saw someone looking like they were dying. He guesses he has all the time in the world to hate himself later at home. Midoriya. Ugh, Hitoshi is trying to tune out their voices. He swears he doesn't mean to eavesdrop. The room is just so fucking silent he can't help but listen. These scars, they. And then silence. He hears shuffling, and something about the pause. He knows that something isn't right, somehow. Like when you enter the room and everyone shuts the fuck up suddenly because they were talking about you. Or when your parents are fighting but they pretend that they aren't, but you just know. It's the kind of awkward, tense silence that Hitoshi especially hates. God, he wants to get out of here. It's okay, a new voice. Extremely hoarse, tired, and boyish. It must be the Mito guy. Another silence. Can you hear me? A little. Right. Well, my quirk allows me to amplify your natural healing process, but by no means without a price. You need a good, long rest after this, you hear? Thank you, the guy croaks. I'm really sorry about the trouble I caused. The sudden coherency in his speech is surprising. Just a few moments ago, he didn't even look like he was conscious. It's no trouble at all, Recovery Girl says, firmly. A long pause, and then a sigh. We'll talk about it more when your mother is here. But you must understand that it's no trouble at all. Pause. Here, have some candy. It'll help. You too, young man. Hitoshi startles for the third time today. Just in a few seconds, she's somehow already by his bedside from across the room. Damn, she's fast. He takes the candy because there is no other choice. Right? Thanks. How are you feeling? Better, he lies. She flicks his forehead. Ouch. I meant what I said, she says, a warning. You have a concussion. It is not something to be taken lightly. You were lucky it didn't kill you. Somehow, it doesn't sound like a hyperbole. You have to take a long rest too, got it? Yes, whatever. She folds her arms in front of her chest. Being a hero is not about getting hurt, she says, and Hitoshi looks up, surprised by the non sequitur. Contrary to popular belief, it is not. You have to take care of yourself if you want to help people. You hear? Both of you. Being a hero? Is that stupid, naive dream even still within his grasp, now that he's fucked it all up? Taking care of himself? In all honesty, it's incomprehensible for him at the moment. She looks at his eyes, intently, for a moment, and then she shakes her head, and suddenly looks tired and much older. You still have a lot to learn. Rest here for now? She points at both of them. Rest. It is definitely a threat. She gestures to erase her head, and the medic and all of them leave the room. Hitoshi can hear her voice. See, this new generation of heroes will make me lose all my darn hair. And then the door closes. And then Hitoshi realizes he's being left alone with the other guy. Also, he doesn't know when he can leave. Can he leave now? Like, right now? Fuck. Hitoshi is exceptionally good at initiating conversation. Admittedly, his favorite and only conversational skill is sarcasm, but he likes to think that he's not hopelessly unsociable. After all, that's what his quirk depends on. But he has never been one to make friends. Even more so to butt in other people's business. That's just stupid. Fuck it. He spares a furtive glance. The guy looks not calm, exactly, but at least he's not clawing his throat out again. He is on the bed, half sitting, half lying, to help breathe better, Hitoshi guesses. His arm, or what's visible of it, anyway, doesn't look messed up like before either. His clothes are still charred and ripped, though. The back of his head is pressed to the wall, eyes closed, a frown still visible, and his breathing isn't fucked up, but it's still unnatural. A little too quick, a little too rehearsed, like he's trying to keep himself breathing. He doesn't look as catatonic as before, though. Hitoshi wouldn't find it surprising if he wasn't even aware that Hitoshi was in the room the whole time. Enough staring. Hitoshi averts his eyes, but he can't help but wonder what the hell happened to this guy. None of his business, that's for sure. So he keeps quiet, stares at the ceiling. If Hitoshi had gone through that kind of thing, what he would need is space, and a lot of it. So he's going to leave this guy alone. He doesn't even care. Ah, fuck. You okay? At first, he's not sure if the guy even hears him. But then, yeah. Okay, great. Enough interaction. Hitoshi has fulfilled his duty as a fellow human being. He can now lay and stare at the ceiling in peace. And then, almost too small to be audible, I'm sorry you had to see that. Damn it. Hitoshi looks. The guy isn't looking at him, eyes still shut tight, but he looks a bit more pained than before. Hitoshi thinks he gets it. He wouldn't want to be seen when he's vulnerable either. Hitoshi goes back to staring at the ceiling. It's fine, Hitoshi says, all stilted, and wow, he's unsurprisingly bad at this. He doesn't know what to say. Get well soon. Come on. The room falls into silence, except for the guy's halted breathing. And if Hitoshi hears the guy cry, he's going to pretend he doesn't. After a while, the door barges open for the second time. A short woman runs to the guy's bed at an incredible speed. Following her is Eraserhead. Izuku, she says, like it's the end of the world. Under the light, her hair glints iridescent green. Izuku, I'm okay, Mom. This is something Hitoshi shouldn't see. Hitoshi, as a rule, is uncomfortable with any spectacle that involves affection, familial or otherwise. That is just the way he is built. God, he wants to go home. Test the prototype? What did I say about unsupervised? It worked though, for like 3 seconds. Before blowing up. I'm serious. I'm okay, Hitoshi hears the guy say, and wow, what a bad liar. He doesn't think he has heard a worse lie in his life. Seriously, I'm okay. For real. Just had a bit of a, shock. But I'm fine now. Seriously. Seriously. For a guy who looked like he was dying not 15 minutes ago, Hitoshi's got to admit, that's an impressive bravado. Mrs. Midoriya, Eraserhead says, and his tone is tense, cutting. I believe we need to talk. And that's Hitoshi's cue. He sits up. His head pounds, slightly, and he ignores it. He feels the room's attention diverts to his direction, and he ignores it too. Sorry to interrupt, but I feel better now. Can I get my bag and leave? Also, possibly, use the shower because he smells like vomit, explosion, and also failure. The last one would be hard to get rid of, though. Ah, the lady, Midoriya's mom. Is it? Says, like she just sees him, and Hitoshi pays attention to her for the first time. Wait a minute. Ah, Hitoshi says. If you were to ask Aizawa Shoyuta whether he believes in the hero system or not, he'd tell you to mind your own damn business. This year's batch seems promising. This year's batch seems like trouble, Shoyuta does not say. Kinda seems a bit too serious if you ask me. Hisazi mourns, not really over the lukewarm response he'd received at the exam briefing. We have a lot of offensive quirks this year. Incredible. Look at Examinee 2040. Namiri clicks her tongue. Is it just me, or do they get more violent every year? And the exam favors violence more every year, Shoyuta does not say. Examinee 2040 then proceeds to blow up a 3,751,405 yen villain bot all the way to hell. And more fucking expensive. It's not like he never brought this up. On the contrary, he brought this up to the committee the first year he taught in UA. The answer he got had almost made him quit on the spot, if not for Nedzu. He'd known, even back then, that his position was laughable. A rookie teacher, an underground hero. He did not have any authority whatsoever on anything, really. It surprised no one that his motion was denied, or more accurately, that his motion was trampled and shit on. Do you know why the entrance exam is designed the way it is, Aizawa-san? Nedzu had said to him after. Because the committee wants money, he had answered. And flashy heroes bring money. It's a wonder he wasn't fired on the spot. Of course, Nedzu always looks like he is smiling. Aizawa can never tell if he actually is smiling. And you think that this is unfair for examinees with less flashier quirk. Aizawa-san, what does UDOTA pride itself on with our curriculum? That was a rhetorical question. UA tailors its curriculum to real-life situations. I would know. I designed it, and we all know that I am a very hands-on educator. Now, tell me, Aizawa-san, is real life ever fair to heroes with less flashy quirk? Yes, I didn't think so either. Now, I shall throw your resignation letter to the bin, if that's fine with you. Something is up. Camera B, Beta, 157 to 164 have stopped working. Due to collisions? That happens all the time. We have enough backups. No, due to electromagnetic disruptions, says Otani through the comm. They are the current head of security for UA entrance exam. And the only examinee with electricity-related quirk in Arena B is not in that cluster. The disruption seems to be caused by Examinee 2234, says Shoyuta. One of yours. Hisashi nudges him. Shoyuta grunts an affirmative. Each examiner's is registered to a number of examinees on their watch list. This one, in particular, the system has pinged this one in specific due to their quirk, maybe? No, Shoyuta says slowly. Examinee 2234's quirk does not emit any sort of electromagnetic interference. It seems. Shoyuta pauses. It seems that Examinee 2234 has just rigged an EMP and plastered it to a wooden sword. Will this cause trouble? No, Otani says. Unless they manage to acquire some sort of electricity generator in enough wattage to shut our system, it shouldn't be. They stop. They remark. What is it? Namuri, though her eyes are still trained on monitoring her own batch, has her curiosity piqued. Examinee 2234, Shoyuta flatly informs the room, has approached examinee 2296. Prepare for a momentary shutdown, Otani announces. We have encountered situation 34, section 4. What? Hisashi looks around, baffled. The other examiners have seemed to have their attention diverted too. What's going on? He looks at Shoyuta and immediately pauses. Oh, hell no. Shoyuta, why are you smiling? Shoyuta does not avert his eyes from the monitor. Because examinee 2290 SIXS Quirk, answers Shoyuta, is an electricity generator. That's when all of their cameras shut down. It's only for a few seconds before their monitors staticize and return to normal. Backup complete, Otani says, as efficient as always. However, as you can see, the villain bots are experiencing a wide system failure. How big are we talking? All of the bots in the entire Arena B are inoperative, Otani says. So are the bots from Arena CS, Arena CSW. Namuri whistles. The exam has just ended a minute early, she grins. That's a precedent, baby. Put this one in the book. Impressive. That's Nedzu. Shoyuta glances at the principal, sitting delicately on his seat. The light of the monitors reflect vibrantly on his dark, unreadable beaded eyes. Beside him is All Might. Or rather, Yagi Tashinori. Despite his actual form, Shoyuta still does have a difficult time addressing him as the latter. Not that he would ever admit it. Yagi has been quiet for some time now. Not that he is a particularly chatty man. All Might is. Yagi is not. Still difficult. However, he has this tense line in his gaunt shoulders. His eyes, Shoyuta finds, are fixed on the monitor, or rather, on examinee 2234. Interesting, Shoyuta thinks. Something to chew on later. Nedzu claps his hands, paws, together. Nevertheless, we are still in business, he says, cheery as always. The exam has not ended, folks. Not quite yet. Release the 0-pointer, please. It's not really. It's not like Shoyuta could have seen it coming. The amount of applicants that enter U.A is up to thousands. That's public knowledge. Some enter through recommendation. Also public knowledge. Promising and potential candidates are flagged for prioritized, closer examination. This is not public knowledge. Potentially volatile candidates. Candidates that could, at a certain level, potentially harm others and or themselves are also flagged by the system. Not public knowledge either. These are the examinees that are added, specifically, into the staff's watch list. It is cross-referenced by their studies, their quirks, their medical history, physical and or otherwise. He couldn't have seen it coming. Not really, but it feels like he should have. Examinee 2234 does not have combat applicable quirk. Hisashi starts in his seat. Did he just? Oh my god, did he just? That's incredible, insane. Shoyuta stands up. From the corner of his eyes, he sees that Yagi does the same. Examinee 2234 proceeds to blow up a 0-pointer all the way to hell. 40 meters up in the empty air. And then he falls. UA has safety procedures for situations such as this, of course. In the entire history of UA as an academy, there has not been one single casualty, fatal casualty, in an entrance exam. Even so, the moment examinee 2234 lands to the ground safely with the aid of examinee 1227, Shoyuta bolts to the door. Where is he? They're rolling him in, sir, at the north gate. His condition? Stable, but he seems to be catatonic. UA does not accept just anyone. That much is clear. UA does not accept just anyone to enter the entrance exam. There are screenings, surveillances, even, as much as the law allows. And it's a public secret that the laws are especially very loose to an institution as prestigious. No, that isn't quite right. To an institution as domineering as UA. And the public is fine with it, 2. Because of the hero system. UA prides itself as a diverse institute. It accepts all kinds of quirks, all kinds of children. This is not the truth, but it is not a lie either. He sees them while the kid on a gurney. Shoyuta speeds up and seamlessly rides along with the other medic, steadying the gurney. Where is Recovery Girl? We are bringing him to her, but all the other wards seem to be full. Full. This year's batch really is. Shoyuta sighs. Can't be helped. Is it near? Just down the hall. The kid looks bad. Shoyuta remembers his file in particular, but like this, in person, despite knowing his height and weight, the kid looks small, even for his age. They enter the sanatorium with Recovery Girl. There is only one other kid in the room, who looks startled by the condition of his peer. Shoyuta would too. Does this happen every year? The other kid asks, after he threw up. He had recognized him, which is a mild surprise. Not many do. Yes, Shoyuta answers. The mother will be here in 15 minutes, one of the staff confirms. That's good. The kid, examinee 2234, doesn't look so bad anymore. Or at least, he doesn't look as bad as he did just moments ago. It seems like the worst of the attack has passed, but he still looks very much like he feels like shit. Shoyuta can relate. Midoriya-kun, I'm going to check your arms. Is that fine with you? It takes a moment before the kid nods. He's responsive, a good sign. Perhaps the tinnitus has dissipated. Shoyuta takes a few steps back, allowing Recovery Girl space to do her work. The kid's right arm takes the most damage. There are still pieces of gloves wrapped around his hand, cut away gently by a medic. They are engineering gloves, Shoyuta notes. Cotton and latex, leather. Although its form has been scorched away, Shoyuta can make out some modifications that have been made to the gloves. They are more form-fitting than your typical safety gloves. For the sake of better precision and grip, he would guess. The leftover fabrics are cut away, revealing the kid's worst wound on the palm of his hand. It looks awful. Second-degree burn. Shoyuta looks at the kid's face. He's still wincing in pain. Deathly pale. His breathing is irregular. Shoyuta is just surprised the kid isn't screaming. It takes a short while for Recovery Girl's quirk to work, still impressive. Even after all this time, Shoyuta thinks. What a powerful quirk. When the outer layers of the skin starts fixing itself, Shoyuta can't help but feel several degrees of tension slide away from his shoulder. The skin is still reddish in color, but it's no longer the raw flesh that it was moments ago. Does it still hurt? Recovery Girl asks, gently. The kid shakes his head. He looks a shade less pale, though his body is still shaking ever so slightly. Good. Could you give me your other arm, please? It's short, but Shoyuta sees it. There is some kind of hesitation in his movements. A halted startle, but the kid relents, giving her his left arm. Shoyuta doesn't miss the way the kid's head turns away, though, as if in avoidance. And the way his shoulders reflexively hunch together, just a little bit, as if in defense. His left hand looks all right, just minor scratches here and there. Recovery Girl nods to herself, and then turns it over to look at the inside of his forearm, and then she stops in her tracks. Shoyuta does too. Midoriya-kun, Recovery Girl says, slowly. It's incredible. Her voice does not waver, not even a little bit. Everlastingly calm, as it always has been since Shoyuta was still her student. These scars. They. Now this, Shoyuta should have seen coming. The kid doesn't answer. The kid doesn't even look at them, eyes trained at some point of the bed cot, persistent in not finding contact. Recovery Girl turns her head and her eyes meet Shuta's. Understanding passes between the two of them. It's okay, says the kid suddenly. Examinee, 2234, Midoriya, Izuku. His voice is hoarse, scratched out, barely audible. Shoyuta can feel a headache forming at the base of his skull. Another pause, this one tenser than before. And then Recovery Girl sighs and returns the kid's arm. Her hand lingers just a second longer on his knuckles. Can you hear me better now? A little. He's answering. Another good sign. Right. Well, my quirk allows me to amplify your natural healing process, but by no means without a price. You need a good, long rest after this, you hear? Thank you, Midoriya, Izuku says. Just barely. It looks like it takes a little too much effort for him to speak. I'm I'm really sorry for all the trouble I caused. The headache grows several fractions more painful. God, Shoyuta thinks, damn it. It's no trouble at all, Recovery Girl says, firmly. A long pause, and then a sigh. Worryingly, she looks like she's growing older by the minute. We'll talk about it more when your mother is here. But you must understand that it's no trouble at all. Pause. Here, have some candy. It'll help. That includes you too, young man. The young man in question, the other kid with wild purple hair in the other corner of the room, looks like he wants to be anywhere but here. Recovery Girl makes her way across the room with exceptional speed despite her petite frame. How are you feeling? Better, the kid mumbles. Lie. Recovery Girl flicks his forehead in reprimand and ignores the protest that comes after. The kid has impressive bags under his eyes, and there is a gash on his forehead, the reason of his being here, presumably. He looks better than he had too, though, as he fares with Recovery Girl's speech on taking care of yourself 101. Being a hero is not about getting hurt, Recovery Girl says, and her eyes, not subtly, find shouldas for a second there. Contrary to popular belief, it is not. You have to take care of yourself if you want to help people. You hear? Both of you. Both of the kid responds with an awkward silence. And somehow, Shoyuta has an inkling that she is not talking to just the examinees. Shoyuta chooses to join in on aforementioned awkward silence. Recovery Girl sighs for the umpteenth time, shaking her head as if in disappointment. Shoyuta tries to ignore the absurd pang of guilt that follows. Recovery Girl throws her arms up to the air exasperatedly as they leave the room after. See, she grumbles, this new generation of heroes will make me lose all my darn hair. I swear, it gets worse every year. Full house, full. Can you believe? She shakes her head again. What is Nedzu thinking? These kids aren't even afraid to die. These kids aren't even afraid to die. She doesn't finish her sentence, seemingly having calmed down a little. I need to check on the other wards. If anything happens, I can handle it, Shoyuta assures her. She has too much on her plate already. Don't worry, sensei. Right? She nods, half to herself. Right? The Midoriya boy. I know, and God does he know. I'll handle it. When she finally leaves, Shoyuta turns and says to the empty air, and what business do you have here, All Might? Silence. Shoyuta has no idea how such a huge man manages to tuck himself in the corner of the hall into hiding. He also has no idea that All Might can look anywhere near sheepish, especially in that form. All Might says, eloquently, as he comes out of whatever pocket dimension he was hiding in. Shoyuta raises an eyebrow. They look at each other. All Might takes a deep breath and starts. I was looking for. The washroom is down that way. Right, says All Might dejectedly. All right, says Shoyuta flatly. Neither of them move. All Might sighs, caving in. I was worried. He sounds so terribly genuine that Shoyuta almost feels guilty. Almost. Understandable, but he's fine, sort of. And we cannot have you prancing around the hallway in plain air, All Might. Shoyuta has no idea that All Might could look like a kicked puppy, but it seems like he's learning new things every day. Right, All Might says, and goddamn, how does he sound so defeated when he looks like that? It doesn't make any sense. All right, I understand. You're right. Shoyuta is being too rough on him, Hizashi would say, if he were here. That's the #1 hero. Dude, he would say. All fucking might. Do you still have the leftover of your teenage angst masquerading as a non-existent grudge towards the symbol of peace that may or may not be related to the structure of society and hero system in general, dude? And Hizashi can shut the fuck up, because he isn't here. The headache is getting worse. This time, Shoyuta caves. He is a little beat up, but Recovery Girl has said that he's going to be fine, Shoyuta tells him. His mother is on the way. I see. All Might says, visibly all perked up. He is even standing straighter. It's a miracle. Thank you, he adds, so genuinely that Shoyuta can't take it. Shoyuta grunts, and then All Might leaves. He is so tall that his head is, comically, nearly touching the ceiling. It's still sort of jarring, watching him in a setting other than a battleground. When Nedzu first announced that All Might is going to teach this year, Shoyuta couldn't believe it. when Nedzu first introduced Yagi Tashinori to them. Shoyuta has 15 years as a pro hero under his belt. Despite it All Might is still a mystery. As a man and as a hero. The timing, however, says it all. It's just an assumption, of course. You can even call it a suspicion. Shoyuta is pretty damn sure the #1 hero is looking for a successor. Midoriya Inko looks exactly like her son. Is my son in there? Shoyuta barely gets an affirmative out before she barges in the door with a strength that only mothers have. The moment she lays eyes on her son, Midoriya Inko breaks into tears. Shoyuta has to look away for a moment, because he really can't take seeing unfiltered emotion like that. Midoriya Inko, however, proceeds to impressively scold her son through the barrage of tears cascading down her face. His son, impressively, proceeds to insist that he is absolutely fine. Really? I swear. Mom, really? Despite looking like he just blew up a giant robot and fell 40 meters to the ground. I'm okay, Mom. Midoriya Izuku insists for the umpteenth time. Shoyuta wonders how he has all that energy the moment his mother arrives. I'm fine now. Seriously. Seriously. Shoyuta clears his throat. Mrs. Midoriya, I believe that we need to talk. Before the mother has any chance to respond, another voice chimes in. Sorry to interrupt. Shoyuta looks to find the other kid standing up on his feet, looking extremely uncomfortable. He ducks his head a bit under the room's attention. But I feel better now. Can I, get my bag and leave? Mrs. Midoriya makes a sound of surprise. You, she says. The boy startles at the remark, looking like a deer in a headlight, if a deer in a headlight looks like they just got caught red-handed shoplifting. Ah, he says, looking at her, and then he shuts up. The room goes into momentary silence. Shoyuta says, unimpressed, is there a problem? The kid is looking anywhere but her. Midoriya Inko recovers quickly, however,